His mission. Do you ever feel yourself float away from your physical body in order to protect yourself? Do you ever experience pain so fresh, it feels like your entire body is ignited in flames? Do you ever sit back and question why? Why me? A slap, then a punch, followed by a kick. Next time, you do as I tell you. No questions asked. Trevor hisses at me through clenched teeth. His pale face is turning bright red, seething with anger. I nod furiously, pushing my petite frame as far up against the wall as I can. My hands physically shake, trembling from the fear overtaking me. Whatever you do, don't make eye contact with him, Emily. Eye contact is seen as a challenge. I squeeze my eyes shut, wishing I'd remembered to wash the dishes left over from last night. I know it isn't a reason for him to hurt me, but in Trevor's eyes, it's justified. His hand wraps itself in the strands of my hair and he pulls my head backwards, my scalp throbbing. Please stop, you don't have to do this. I yell, pleading with him. My screams of agony fall upon deaf ears, so I give up and lie there emotionlessly, letting him torture me like his little rag doll. I stare at my reflection in the mirror and sigh, hastily wiping the tears away from my eyes. I refuse to cry. That's exactly what he wants. He wants me to suffer, and I'll never give him the satisfaction of knowing I already am. A big clump of my dark brown hair is missing, the scalp throbbing painfully where he'd ripped it out. My finger trails down my cheek under my eye where the stinging is now turning into a tender blue bruise. I'm grateful for my tan complexion because the bruises don't show up as easily. I bite my bottom lip and let out a small whimper as I attempt to lift my top to see the damage he inflicted. As expected, the bruises run up my side, but thankfully nothing feels broken. How sad is it that I can tell the difference between a bruised and broken bone? Why did you leave me like this, Dad? I whisper, glancing at the frame on my bedside table. A photograph taken of me as a little girl, large brown eyes shining happily as I sat on my father's shoulders, holding onto his hair. His own eyes mirror mine, a pearly smile so white and wide. Dad and I were inseparable. I adored the ground my father walked on. Every time he entered the room, I craved his attention. Mum had taken the picture at my 6th birthday party. I remember that day so well, the way my father smiled at me as he sang, "Happy Birthday." I remember him clutching the cake in front of him, telling me to make a wish and blow out the candles. He cheered and clapped so loud, it felt like I had my own personal cheerleading squad. Dad died suddenly the following month, leaving his only daughter behind with a shattered heart. 10 years without the man I love and adore. I shuffle towards my bed, sitting down on the edge of it. I lift the picture up to my lips, placing a gentle kiss over the glass. It feels cool against my lips and I close my eyes, taking slow breaths. I allow the oxygen to fill my lungs and calm my thoughts. Night night, sleep tight my little princess. Dad would say every single night, tucking me up tightly before leaving the room and closing the door over slightly. He knew I didn't like the dark. Night night, Daddy, I whisper, clutching the picture frame tightly to my chest. The next day, I walk into college, scanning the crowds for my best friend, Trisha Lockwood. The friendship between Trish and I has always been peculiar to anyone looking in from the outside. I'm relatively quiet whereas Trish is loud and bubbly. My dark hair is the complete opposite to Trisha's blonde locks. She wears pink skirts with frilly tops whereas I prefer to wear denim jeans and a cute shirt. The one thing I regret every day is not telling her about my stepfather. The girl has the ability to make me laugh until my sides hurt. Even though she's wild at times, I know she has a good heart. I tame her behavior and she inserts some craziness into my life. Trish is surrounded by 3 boys, which doesn't surprise me in the slightest. She receives enough male attention for the both of us. I watch as one of the boys lean in, whispering something in her ear. Trish immediately giggles before batting her long eyelashes at him flirtatiously in return. I roll my eyes and walk over to them, ignoring the pain flaring up my side from the simple movement. Images of my stepfather raising his fists last night cloud my mind, making my hands clench into tight fists. I'm not a violent character. I'm too scared to fight back. I tried once when I was 12 years old and ended up breaking my thumb. How was I supposed to know I shouldn't tuck my thumb into my fist when punching? Let's just say my thumb has never been the same after that accident. I chuckle at my own stupidity, shaking my head. What's funny, Emily? Trish asks, walking over to me and linking her arm through mine. The boys behind her appeared to be heartbroken at her lack of attention, and I mentally roll my eyes again. I shake my head at Trish, giving her a small smile. Nothing. How was the concert this weekend? I ask her eagerly, partly wanting to change the subject. Trish winces from the memories before letting out a small chuckle. First of all, I was so drunk, I ended up peeing in a bush. I laugh, shaking my head. Typical Trish behavior. What about the music? You know, the actual reason you wanted to go. The music was awesome, but I enjoyed the boys a little more. Trish giggles, waggling her eyebrows in a suggestive manner. Meet any cute ones? I respond, giving a brief wave to a group of girls walking past. Trish nods eagerly, her eyes lighting up. The cutest. Let me tell you all about it. She giggles, dragging me towards a nearby chair. I take a seat and Trish inhales deeply before diving right into every male she encounters at the concert. Whilst she gushes about a handsome blonde, I quickly scan the room. My eyes land on a hunched-over figure at the back of the class. I frown, tilting my head to study him. He's wearing a grey jacket, the hood pulled right over to mask his features. His shoulders are broad and a hint of dark hair sticks out from under the hood. His right hand scrolls through his phone and his other is bandaged tightly. I raise my eyebrow at him. Hey Trish, who's the new boy? I ask, interrupting her and signaling in his direction. I watch as her eyes widen once she notices who I'm referring to. That's Jake, don't give him any attention. Trish whispers under her breath, not wanting to be heard. Jake? As in Jake Melvin? I ask, knowing the name well. All purely through gossip, of course. Trish nods, her eyes quickly scanning over him. He's beautiful, but he gives me the creeps. Yeah, I agree quietly, my gaze still fixed on Jake Melvin. He isn't surrounded by any friends, but the confidence that oozes from him is undeniable. I know he's bad news, but that doesn't stop the fact that he's very good looking. Despite the permanent scowl on his face. Rumors fly around town about how Jake Melvin is involved in a local gang. He lives with his mum, but no one ever mentioned a father. People avoid Jake due to his dangerous reputation. Nobody wants to get involved with the wrong side of the law. Jake slowly lifts his head and raises an eyebrow at me, clearly catching me gawking at him. That's when I notice his eyes, a dangerous dark shade of blue. They narrow in my direction, flashing with hostility as he silently dares me to look away. I swallow the nerves, ignoring the way the small hairs on the back of my neck prickles with fear. I can see why he gives you the creeps. His icy stare resembles Trevor, my stepfather. A chill runs up my spine and my fingers brush over the bruises on my side that continue to throb with pain. I close my eyes, images of Trevor beating me up yesterday flashing through my mind, again. Emily? Trish says beside me, nudging me slightly. I snap my eyes open, giving her a small smile. Her voice eventually dulls out until her words start blurring together, making no sense. It's hard to concentrate when all I can feel is the throbbing of my injuries. I feel someone's burning stare from my right and I turn slowly, meeting eyes with Jake Melvin. The intensity in them causes me to suck in a breath, and I know no matter how hard I tried, I'll never be able to replicate his intense gaze. He's sitting in his seat facing me, his fingers rhythmically tapping away on the desk in front of him. His head is cocked to the right as he studies me, thick dark strands of hair almost falling over into his eyes. I shudder from the effect of his piercing stare, an uneasy feeling settling inside my stomach. Jake doesn't blink once, challenging me to break eye contact. The corners of his lips twitch upwards into a victorious smirk as he notices how uncomfortable I'm becoming. I turn my head away from him, a shiver running down my spine. Mental note to self: stay out of Jake Melvin's way, at all costs. Chapter 2. Walking home reluctantly, I turn the corner and take the chance to study our house. It isn't a home anymore. The front garden, once full of beautiful blooming flowers that my father cherished, is now strewn with rubbish and litter. I turn the key into the door and slowly push it open, trying to stop the annoying creak. The last thing I want is to wake the monster. I know Trevor will be fast asleep in the living room by now. He has the same routine every day. I can hear his heavy breathing and loud snores before I even have a chance to step a foot inside. I imagine him snorting and rolling around in thick mud just like a pig and snigger, slapping a hand over my mouth. He definitely resembles a pig with his pink bald head and round face complete with a stubby nose. I never understood why Mum is attracted to him. Maybe it was his bank balance. Trevor manages his own building site which was once successful, but lately his business took a turn for the worse. Instead of doing something about it, he wallowed in his own self-pity by drinking all day. Lucky me. Sometimes he'll get a large paying contract which means he's away from the house for a few weeks at a time, which is absolute bliss to my ears. I'd eventually begin to relax and the nightmares would be less frequent, but then he'd be back, wanting to blow off steam. And I'm his punching bag. He started off by hitting Mum until one day I stood in front of her in an attempt to protect her. No child should ever witness their mother being beaten by a red-faced stranger. Seeing your mum cry out in pain and whimper in fear causes even the quietest of children to protect their family. Trevor hadn't taken my courage well, his whole face raging with anger. I remember standing my ground stubbornly, which annoyed him further, hence why he began to abuse me. I'm the inconvenienced child who's responsible for the failure of his business. Bullshit. Maybe it's his attitude. I despise violent people, especially the ones who prey on the weak and vulnerable. Trevor has always been a coward who preys on the weak. I know what you're thinking. Go to the police, they can keep me safe. Well, you're wrong. I can't go to the police. Trevor made sure of that. He'd constantly remind me of his police officer acquaintances who were always keeping an eye on me. If you tell anyone, I'll know straight away. He'd sneer in my face, eyes shining brightly from my torture. And then, I'll come for you. There's no doubt about it. I'm officially trapped in this hellhole until I turn 18. I'll have no money, no family and no roof over my head, but that's better than the constant beatings. My breathing hitches in my throat as I see Trevor stir in his armchair, his hand clutching a can of beer. Please do not wake up. The smell of smoke instantly smacks me in the face, causing me to gag. I take a step towards the stairs, quietly creeping past the door before making a run for it. I take the stairs 2 at a time, going as fast as I can. My heart pounds as I slam my bedroom door shut behind me and lock the chain, something I had to install myself. No way am I letting that psycho have access to my room. It's the only room in the house that I can call mine. I've lost everything else, so I treasure my bedroom. It's always presentable and clean, unlike the rest of the house. My walls are painted a crisp white with photos hung on both sides. I want to keep the memories alive when life is bliss. My bed sits in the corner of the room with a fur blanket over the top and various cushions in different shades of blues. I have a white rug at the foot of my bed where I like to sit and do homework. I kick off my Converse and grab a hair tie off the desk, pulling my long dark hair into a high ponytail. I wince as the pain flares through my throbbing scalp. It took me almost 10 minutes trying to disguise the bald patch this morning. I quickly change into pajamas, grateful for the relief of getting out of my clothes. There's something so relieving about taking off your clothes and swapping them for comfort. I walk over to my mirror and take a makeup wipe to get rid of the little I wear. I mainly use it to cover up the occasional cuts and bruises. Trevor doesn't aim for my face usually, as he knows I'll have a hard time covering it up. Sometimes he'd accidentally catch me or I'd fall to the floor, hurting my face. As I'm wiping the concealer away, I study my appearance in the mirror, wondering where it all went so wrong. I look exactly like my mother, high cheekbones with full lips and large brown eyes. When I was younger, she'd dress us in matching outfits and I smile at the memory, pain hitting my chest. Somewhere along the way, I lost my mother. I don't think I'm ever going to get her back. My phone begins ringing and I reach over for it, glancing at the screen. I frown at the flashing screen before sliding the answer button and holding the phone up to my ear. Hello? I say, uneasily. I don't know what it is about unknown numbers, they always creep me out. A deep low voice answers almost immediately. Emily. His voice is smooth, holding such confidence behind it. It sounds like he was smiling on the other end. I immediately felt my spine tingle and I shuddered, a bad feeling settling inside my stomach. Who is this? I ask, my heart picking up pace. I don't recognize the voice at all. It's your father. His tone is calm yet cold, rid of any emotion. I stop breathing at his words, the man's chilling voice sending shivers down my body. What the freaking hell? I hold my phone away from me, my hand trembling. Through the speaker, I hear him laugh down the phone. A deep laugh that causes every hair to stand up on the back of my neck. I hold the phone back up to my ear, ready to give this asshole a piece of my mind. Who is this? Is this your idea of a sick joke? He immediately hangs up, his laughter still echoing in my ear. I stare at the phone in disbelief, my mouth hanging open in shock. I've never received such a disturbing phone call in my entire life. I couldn't sleep that night, my father's face appearing in every single dream. He'd be smiling but then his face would contort in fear and pain. He'd reach his hand out, desperately trying to get a grip of mine. I'd hold on as tight as I could, telling him I wouldn't let go. No matter how hard I tried, he fell away from me each time before eventually disappearing. All that's left is darkness surrounding me, engulfing me in silence. Hours pass where the nightmares continue over and over again, so in the end I give up, lying wide awake in the dark and waiting for the sun to rise. Chapter 3. Whenever Trevor leaves for work early, my morning starts off amazing. I wake up without feeling like I need to watch over my shoulder. I don't have to walk on tiptoes or silently wish he doesn't hurt me right before college. This morning I took my time getting ready with a faint smile on my lips. I often wonder when I'm smiling whether I'm allowed to, with the thoughts swirling round in my head. How can I appear happy when in reality I'm miserable? I've always prided myself in my smile being the only thing Trevor cannot take away from me, and despite the hell inside my mind, that won't change. This particular morning, my smile didn't last long. I glance around the kitchen, letting out a small sigh. The stench in here is almost unbearable and I try to ignore the rubbish littering the floors. This whole place is a damn mess, I mutter, clearing a section of the table so I can sit down with my cereal. The rest of the house besides my room mirrored each other, filthy and cluttered. It wasn't always like this. Dad and Mum were so house-proud until he died and everything went downhill. I am midway through crunching down on my Golden Balls cereal when Mum enters the kitchen. I glance at her from the corner of my eye, my shoulders automatically tensing in her presence. She takes a seat beside me, oblivious to the rubbish surrounding her. Trevor must have definitely burned 80% of her brain cells. What do you want? I ask her abruptly, my tone hostile. Mum lets out a sigh and I feel her burning stare seep its way into my face. Emily, don't speak to me like that. Do you not like it? Yeah, neither do I when Trevor's laying into me. I mutter sarcastically, my words dripping with hate for her. She doesn't deserve a chance to speak to me, I've given her too many. There comes a point in your life when you forgive multiple times because you care for someone, but eventually you have to let go because they keep shitting all over your chances. Mum clears her throat, acting completely oblivious to my anger and resentment towards her. I breathe calmly through my nose before taking another bite of my cereal. I just want to eat my breakfast in peace. I tell her, hoping she'll stand up and leave me alone. Your Aunt Mandy has invited us to her wedding. It's on Saturday and we're going whether you like it or not. I practically deep-throat my cereal and begin sputtering milk and half-eaten cereal everywhere. The place is a mess, so it doesn't really make much difference. What? I ask in surprise, wiping my mouth with the back of my hand. I notice a new expensive-looking watch perched onto her wrist, courtesy of Trevor, no doubt. Aunt Mandy is my mum's older sister who I haven't seen for 10 years since my father's funeral. From what I remember, she's a big woman with dark crazy hair who has a tendency to scream instead of talk. As far as I know, Mum hasn't spoken to her in 9 years either. She's probably on her 5th husband by now, but that doesn't surprise me. Mandy goes through men like running tap water. Yes, she wants to make amends with us and has invited us all to her wedding. Trevor is more than happy to go, so I don't see what the problem is. Her face practically glows when she speaks about Trevor. Why is she so blind? Can she not see the bruise under my eyes or my red scalp? Or hear my cries for Trevor to stop? Can she not see the bruise under my eyes or my red scalp? Or hear my cries for Trevor to stop? I'm not going. There is no way in hell I am playing happy families with you and Trevor. I spit out furiously, shaking my head in disbelief. Mum sighs and stands up, scraping the chair back against the tiled floor. She silently places money on the table in front of me. Buy yourself something nice for the wedding. I'm not going, Mum, I hiss, the grip on my spoon tightening so hard it's beginning to bend. At this rate, my precious golden balls will never get eaten. Mum takes a step back and begins moving dishes around, attempting to tidy up. I stand up, ready to leave. Before I go, I hear her mumble under her breath, "Trevor will make you so you're coming." I freeze in my tracks and turn around to look at her. She's hiding behind her hair, avoiding eye contact with me. My heart begins to thump hard against my chest and I frown in confusion, unable to believe her words. She's fully aware of the consequences if I disagree. She knows Trevor will hit me and she's threatening me with him? Fresh tears sting my eyes, but I refuse to let them drop. I hate her. She can't even look her own daughter in the eyes as she threatens to have me beaten if I disagree. I grab the money off the table and slam the kitchen door, running out of the house. I need to put space between us before I go crazy. I can't concentrate at all in class. Every time I try, my mind wanders over to the conversation this morning. Mum's threatening words constantly ring through my ears. Trevor will make you. I feel physically sick knowing my own mother knows exactly what Trevor does to me but never stops him. The thought alone is enough to cause my stomach to stir, bringing up the contents of my breakfast. Emily Wentworth. A voice booms my name, snapping me out of my daze. My eyes meet with a frustrated set that belonged to Mrs. Wilkins. Yes? Do you know the answer? Mrs. Wilkins asks me, her voice full of irritation. No, sorry, I sigh, my cheeks heating up as the entire class turns to look at me. That's the third time today you haven't been paying attention, Emily. See me after class, please. Mrs. Wilkins says sternly, turning back towards the board. I merely nod and lower myself further into my chair, making myself as small as possible. This day has just gone from bad to worse. After continuously reassuring Mrs. Wilkins I'm fine and nothing is distracting me, she lets me leave. Teachers are so oblivious sometimes. I grab my bag and swing it over my shoulder, making my way towards the exit. I'm so focused on rushing straight out of her class that I'm not looking where I'm going and slapping hard into someone's chest. I bounce backwards from the hit and groan quietly as pain flares up my body from my earlier beatings. I feel my body falling backwards, too weak to steady myself. I prepare myself for a hard landing on the floor, but it never happens. A warm hand is slid around my waist, the arm tightening around me securely. I feel myself being pulled back up onto my feet and I open my eyes in surprise. Thank you. My words are cut short as my eyes connect with Jake Melvin. I instantly feel the breath knock out of me, the cold in his eyes darkening further. Sorry, Jake, I mumble, feeling my throat tighten. I look away from his intense gaze, not quite able to have another stare off with him. I notice his arm is still holding my waist, so I clear my throat, a red blush creeping up my neck. His eyes flicker between both of mine before he drops his arm back to his side and takes a step back. The entire time he remains silent. His outfit consists of a plain white shirt followed by jet black jeans. Casual and plain, but on him, it works. The shirt clings tightly on his arms that are muscly and defined. The boy clearly works out. I flinch as I inspect them, knowing how hard the impact would feel if he hit me. I can't help myself, I'm always on edge. Watch where you're going next time, Jake mutters quietly, turning his back on me. I frown at his words, narrowing my eyes. At least I apologized. I stare up at him just as fiercely, watching his body still before he does a slow turn. Holy crap, he's turning back around. His eyes flash with an emotion I don't recognize. It doesn't last long as it's quickly masked over with his usual cold hard stare. He chuckles quietly, taking a step towards me so that my back presses against the wall. I gulp nervously, glancing down the hallway for any sign of help. No Jake. I watch in fear as Jake raises his arms, a smirk playing on his lips. He places them on either side of my head, caging me between him. I can feel his body inches away from me and my throat dries up considerably. The scent of soap and musk mixed in with the faint smell of cigarette smoke ravels around me. I scrunch my nose up. Jake, move. I can smell smoke on you. It's gross. Seriously, Emily, why are you speaking to him like this? I'm dead. Officially dead. Someone please play Shawn Mendes at my funeral. Jake scoffs, his lips twitching up into a smirk. So you're feisty, huh, Muffin? He stares straight into my eyes, the blue in 'em glinting with humor. My own widen in confusion and I frown back at him. Muffin? What the fudge? Don't call me that. My name is Emily. I narrow my eyes and try to keep my voice confident, but he senses the insecurity behind it. I can tell because the glint in his eyes deepen and I know he's enjoying watching me squirm. Okay, Muffin. The corner of his mouth tugs upwards into an amused smirk. I huff unhappily and shove at his chest, which causes no movement in him whatsoever. Is the boy made entirely of lean muscle? His arm suddenly moves, taking me by surprise, so I bring my hands up to protect my head. It's a subconscious action I do from living with Trevor. I always figure if I protect my head as soon as I can, it would cause less damage once Trevor is done with me. I close my eyes and wait for the blow, but moments pass and I don't feel any pain. Emily? Jake asks uneasily, prying my hands away from my face. I look up at him like a timid child, watching as his eyes flash with concern and confusion. Oh God, what have I just done? I grab my bag, which has fallen to the floor, and run down the corridor as fast as I can go, my trainers slapping against the tiled floor. I glanced over my shoulder to see Jake stood there silently, watching me leave with a blank, unreadable expression. My heart begins beating wildly and I silently wish he wouldn't put the clues together. I need to keep my home troubles a secret, forever. I love that he called her Muffin. Chapter 4. I sit on my bed and sigh, running my hands through my wild hair. I barely slept a wink, my entire sleep was plagued with nightmares. The sun is now beginning to rise, sending a small amount of light peeking through my curtains. The light bounces off the walls, creating an iridescent glow of golds. I close my eyes and lean back against the wall, enjoying the silence and peace the morning has to offer. The air is always so crisp and fresh, almost as if the world is offering me a clean slate every single day. My thoughts drift to the encounter with Jake yesterday. What if he figures out my secret? Surely he wouldn't. I've kept everything a secret for years and now one silly little mistake is threatening to ruin that. I curse under my breath, rubbing my temple as I feel a headache beginning to form. Lack of sleep and stress can do that to you. Just stay away from him, Emily, I mutter to myself. That's kind of hard to do when we both share a classroom. I pull up my jeans and settle on wearing a crop jumper with denim jeans. My hair is pinned straight and I walk over to my dresser, wincing as I catch a glimpse of my face. Damn, I need a miracle, I groan unhappily, reaching for my makeup bag. I apply concealer under my eyes to disguise the lack of sleep. I also use it to cover up a tender bruise and after a few minutes, it's barely recognizable. Over the years I've mastered hiding cuts, bruises and scars with makeup. It's a hidden talent of mine. I finish it off with mascara, eyeliner and a hint of blush. When I'm satisfied, I choose a lip color before popping it into my school bag. I gather everything I need before heading for my bedroom door. Last night I heard Mum and Trevor arguing for hours, thankfully he never laid a finger on her. They'd clearly made up as after the arguing came noises from their bedroom that I never want to hear again. I mentally gag, hoping to God they used a condom. The last thing this dysfunctional family needs is an innocent baby. I push open the kitchen door to grab a breakfast bar before heading out. When I notice Trevor sat at the dining table, I freeze, my eyes zoning in on his back. I don't dare breathe in case he hears me. I slowly back up, my feet moving at a snail's pace so I don't alert him. I manage to turn halfway around when I hear his voice cut through the silent atmosphere. "Where do you think you're going?" His words are slurred from his drunken state. I hear the fresh anger in them and wince as I stop in my tracks. I close my eyes and count to 5 in an effort to calm my breathing down. My hands begin to tremble by my side as I turn around slowly, coming face to face with him. "School, where I go every day," I murmur quietly. He raises one eyebrow and begins taking slow steps towards me. I press myself back into the wall as much as I can, wishing he'll walk straight past me and leave me alone. The stench of alcohol hits me as he approaches and I bite down on my bottom lip to stop myself from gagging in repulsion. He walks past me and I breathe out before realizing I shouldn't feel relieved just yet. His labored breaths close up from behind me, creeping up the exposed skin on my neck. He's so close and growing closer by the second. His presence causes my stomach to clench in fear before twisting and turning in disgust. I eventually feel his body connect with mine from behind and I stiffen before forcing my feet to step forward. I need to put distance between us. Trevor's hand shoots out immediately and circles around my waist. I let out a small squeak in fear, his sudden movement catching me off guard. He cranks me backwards against him, pinning me to his body. I squirm against his touch, my throat closing in as I struggle to breathe. I open my mouth to protest but no sound comes out as I'm paralyzed completely with fear. The worst feeling is knowing your body is failing you when you need it the most. Trevor lowers his head until his mouth is in line with my ear, dirty breath invading my personal space. I squeeze my eyes shut tightly, feeling the familiar stinging sensation of tears in my eyes. I refuse to let him drop. I won't give the pig any satisfaction knowing that he's hurting me. His hands press further into my skin and I protest, fighting to get away from him. "What are you doing?" I finally protest, grateful to have found my voice. I slap his hands away from me, desperate to get free. "Don't speak to me like that. Don't touch me like that." I hit back at him, doing the first thing that comes to mind. I pull my arm forward and elbow him between his legs, hard. His grip on me immediately releases and he bends over from the pain. My eyes widen in surprise and a smirk forms on my lips as I watch him wither in pain. "Asshole." I quickly hop over him, making a beeline for the front door. As soon as Trevor regains his composure, he stands up, letting out a frustrated yell. I don't have time to react as he comes charging at me like a raging bull in a bullfight. The victorious smirk on my face quickly fades, replaced with a look of terror. I quickly glance around for something to use as a weapon but it's no use, I don't have enough time. All I can do is throw my hands over my head and take the hit. The force of his punch knocks me sideways and I groan, my body falling to the floor. I feel the headache inside my head intensify until it's pounding through my ears. I blink, stars dancing around my vision as they mock me. I clutch my head, feeling warm liquid against my fingers. Blood. Trevor bends down to my level and grabs my jaw, forcing me to stare into his eyes. Cold, dark, emotionless eyes that resemble a bottomless black pool. "Do that again and I'll hurt you twice as hard." His words are emotionless, blunt and calm. However, I don't miss the murderous glint in his eyes. He releases my chin and stands up, his foot colliding with my stomach. I groan again, feeling a sharp excruciating pain flare up. My stomach twists with nausea and I dry gag to the side. "I'm going to be sick. Don't puke, Emily, do not puke." Trevor walks away from me, satisfied that he's caused enough damage. His footsteps gradually grow quieter until I'm alone, curled up in a ball on the floor. Once he disappears, I allow the first tear to fall followed by several others. As I step off the bus, I grimace in pain before swapping my book bag to my other shoulder. If I move an inch, the pain flares up immediately. I slowly walk down the road, heading for the school building straight ahead. If you walk any slower, that snail will probably pass you. I turn my head, my eyes widening in surprise as they land on Jake Melvin. He's right behind me, dressed in a white shirt, jet black skinny jeans and a leather jacket. He's holding an unlit cigarette in one hand and a lighter in the other, looking extremely annoyed. The encounter with him flashes through my mind and I smile at him tightly. He raises one brow at me, his eyes quickly scanning over my body. "Cat got your tongue, muffin?" he says bluntly and I frown, shooting him a glare. He shrugs it off, stepping around me before walking a few steps ahead. I sigh and switch my bag again, unable to stop the discomfort from flashing across my face. "I'm mad at you for being mean yesterday when I apologized," I say loudly, grabbing his attention. I hear a scoff before he slowly turns around, blue eyes staring straight at me. "I shouldn't have to apologize, you ran into me. It was an accident, I'm human," I protest, ignoring the nerves building in my stomach from being underneath his intense gaze. "Manners don't cost a penny, Jake Melvin," I scold him, attempting to walk ahead of him in a huff. The pain in my sides makes that impossible and to my dismay, I have to slow down. "Whatever you say, Emily Wentworth." Jake mimics me, placing the cigarette inside his mouth and lighting it. I grimace and take a step away from him. "You're extremely annoying," I mumble under my breath, which earns a smug smile from Jake. He blows the smoke out in my direction and I immediately begin to choke on it. His laughter fills the air as he walks off, leaving me shooting daggers in his direction. I can't numb the pain, the limp when I walk is so obvious. I swallow 2 painkillers and lean against the back of the chair, waiting for them to take effect. I decided to arrive early so I can sit down in class without anyone noticing my discomfort. I managed to clean up the cut on the side of my head and it's now disguised cleverly with my hair. My stomach is still pulsing from the pain, every little movement causes my eyes to flutter shut and my head to spin with dizziness. I groan and place my head on the desk, waiting for the room to stop spinning. The class door opens and a few of my classmates enter, shooting an awkward look my way. I quickly sit up, giving them a weak smile. I take out my books slowly and pretend to be fascinated with trigonometry. If I keep my head down, maybe no one will notice the pain on my face or my eyes. A few minutes pass before the teacher walks in, greeting us all. I wave at Trish as she pulls up next to me, looking as fabulous as ever. Her blonde hair has been straightened and flowing down her shoulders. Her makeup is immaculately done and her nails are painted a bright blue. She is such a Barbie. She turns towards me, flashing me an award-winning smile before frowning. "Are you feeling okay, Emily? You look pale." "I'm fine, Trish, just a little run down." She grimaced and nodded in agreement, leaning closer towards me. "Time of the month?" she whispers, sympathy flashing through her eyes. I smile weakly in response. "Yeah, I feel like I've been ran over, multiple times." It isn't the truth but not entirely a lie either. $3.50 please. I nod and reach for the coins inside my pocket, handing them over. The lunch lady smiles at me, pushing my plate of steaming hot pasta and garlic bread towards me. "Enjoy your lunch, sweetheart." "Thank you," I smile, taking it from her and walking towards the table in the far corner. Trish is already seated with a few other girls and several boys. She's chatting away loudly, occasionally pausing to laugh or giggle. Her eyes land on me and she grins widely, patting the seat next to her. I sit down, grimacing as a jolt of pain flares up my side. It takes a few seconds of inhaling and exhaling deeply to get the pain to subdue. Trish fishes around for something in her bag, noticing the discomfort in my face. "Here, take these. It works wonders for period pain. Like seriously, your uterus will forever thank me." She placed 2 tables in my palm and I nod weakly at her, going along with it. I can't tell her that it's not period pains, I don't even have periods anymore due to the beatings. My periods are irregular, sometimes on for weeks, off for months. It's hard to establish whether I'm bleeding from a period or from the abuse. "Thanks, Trish," I mumble quietly, pushing my pasta around on the plate. I suddenly don't have much of an appetite left for food. "Carbs are your best friend on a period, Emily. Why are you neglecting that plate of carby goodness?" Trish asks me, making light of the situation. I can see the worry flash through her eyes and I plaster a faux smile on my face. "I'm just not very hungry, that's all." Trish nods, leaning over to give me a quick hug. As I return her embrace, my eyes locked with her intense stare from the opposite side of the room. I immediately feel my heart stop for a second as he tilts his head, studying me. The blue of his eyes burns through mine and I can't tear my eyes off him. His expression remains emotionless and I watch, wide-eyed as he stands from his table. He takes several strides towards us, his steps smooth. Trish follows my gaze and she frowns as her eyes land on Jake Melvin. Everyone around the table silences, the conversation coming to an abrupt stop. Jake doesn't seem bothered by the reaction, his face remaining expressionless as he walks right towards me. I can feel my heart thumping wildly against my chest, threatening to burst through. The entire time, Jake stares directly at me, searching my eyes for answers. "Can I talk to you?" I simply stared back at him, my mouth slightly parted. His scent immediately wraps itself around me, causing my thoughts to turn hazy and blurred. It's important," he shoots back instantly, ignoring the burning stares he's getting from everyone around the table. I swallow the lump in my throat and nod, pushing myself up. Pain shoots through my side from the sudden movement and I squeeze my eyes shut, trying to not let the pain show in my face. "Emily?" Trish asks me uncertainly, glancing warily between me and Jake. I gave her a reassuring look. "It's okay, Trish, I'll be right back. Mrs. Wilkins wants me and Jake to set up the science class for the next group of students." I explain, hating that I'm lying to her. I can't tell her the real reason. Trish silently searches my face for a few moments before nodding. I wave at her as I leave the canteen, heading for the doors with Jake following me behind. I can sense his presence, it's causing the hairs on the back of my neck to stand up pin straight. You could have come up with a better excuse than Wentworth. I'm not exactly a professional at lying to my friends at such quick notice. I hit back, annoyed at him. I push through the doors, heading towards the school corridors that are deserted during lunch hour. Jake silently follows me behind, his hands stuffed inside his jacket pockets. Once I'm satisfied we aren't going to be seen, I spin around, forgetting that I was badly beaten this morning. My hand immediately presses against my stomach in an attempt to decrease the pain. Jake's eyes darken and he takes a step forward towards me. His hand reaches out, landing on my waist where he holds me cautiously. "What's wrong?" he questions, his voice a low rumble. I grit my teeth, blinking back tears. Even through the pain, my body flares up in heat from his touch. I silently curse myself for reacting to his simple action. I look up at him, masking over the pain in my eyes. "Girl stuff," I shrug off, leaning against the wall casually. I bite the inside of my cheek to stop myself from crying out in pain. Jake searches my face silently and I know instantly he doesn't believe me. He shakes his head, dark hair falling over into his eyes. I focus on the wall behind him so that I wouldn't stare. "What do you want to talk to me about?" I ask him, a blush creeping up my cheeks. I can feel butterflies fluttering in my stomach with nerves. Is this when Jake confronts me over yesterday? I want to apologize. My head snaps back so I'm looking directly at him, at his eyes. I swear, my mouth actually drops open in shock a little. "You want to apologize to me?" I ask, the shock evident in my voice. He doesn't reply but instead nods at me. "Since when does Big Bad Jake apologize?" Jake chuckles quietly, the corner of his lips twitching up. He's cute when he smiles. "Big Bad Jake? Please tell me that's not what people call me. That would seriously ruin my street cred." "Not people, just me." I smile, fiddling with my hands. Jake glances at me from under his thick dark lashes, blue eyes searching mine. I feel my stomach somersault, my heart beginning to pick up pace. I drop my gaze to the floor and clear my throat, angry at myself for reacting to him the way I do. I can't help it, the boy is beautiful despite being annoying as hell. I want to apologize for yesterday. I wasn't watching where I was going. I blink in surprise, glancing up at him. He sighs in defeat before continuing. "And I'm sorry for blowing smoke in your face, that was rude." A small smile stretches across my lips and I'm grateful. My hand is permanently clutching my stomach where the pain is throbbing. I need to sit down soon. "Don't worry about it," I reply quietly, remembering how Jake noticed the fear in my eyes yesterday. Why is he acting so apologetic? Since when does Jake care about what other people think of him? Jake, seriously. It's cool, I repeat, giving him another smile. If we don't end the conversation soon, I'm scared I'll end up passing out from the pain. Well, not the smoke thing, because that's simply disgusting. Do you know secondhand smoke is just as dangerous as smoking? It's very bad for. I drift off as I notice him watching me, an amused expression across his face. Humor flashes through his eyes and he smirks, his eyes dropping to the floor. I look at the floor sheepishly but realize I've made a bad move. Dizziness immediately hit me, my legs buckling underneath my weight. If I don't sit down soon, I will definitely pass out. Jake takes a step forward, his scent invading me completely. I'm pressed as far up into the wall as I can go, using it to support my weight. Are you sure you're okay? His face is beginning to blur through my vision, his voice becoming a short buzzing sound. I nod my head weakly, scared that if I open my mouth to reply, I'll cry instead. Black spots appear in front of me and I feel myself stumble on my feet unsteadily, my body screaming out in agony. His hands are immediately around me, holding me up whilst I recover from my state of darkness. I whimper quietly, shaking my head so that he'd leave me alone. I barely know him. His head dips low until his lips meet my ears. I think you're forgetting who I am, he murmurs down my ear, his hands holding my body firmly in place. You can't lie to me, Emily, I'm surrounded in a world of pain. Don't think I'm not able to sense it when it's all I feel around you. I don't reply and focus on clearing my vision instead. Chapter 5. Mum knocks on my bedroom door for the millionth time and I groan, rolling over in my sleep. Emily, you've got half an hour to be up and ready. She yells through the crack in the door. I hear her footsteps grow fainter as she walks back down the stairs. Screw you, I mutter, flipping a finger at the door. I know she can't see me but I earn a sense of satisfaction from it. Does Mum seriously want to walk around and act like the perfect family all day? I haven't seen any of Mum's or Dad's family since he died. It's almost as if Mum wanted to isolate herself after his death. Once Trevor came along, he made sure we never spoke to our relatives again. I remember having endless days where I felt insanely lonely, nothing but my teddy bears and Barbie dolls to keep me company. Considering it's been 6 years since I've seen my family, I'm feeling a little nervous. I glance at the outfit I bought yesterday that's hung up on my wardrobe door. Yes, I know, I'm pretty last minute. It's a light pink dainty dress that ends just above my knees. It's a gorgeous lace collar that made me feel pretty and feminine when I tried it on. I'm wearing nude tights underneath to hide my scars and white pumps that I'd found in the back of my wardrobe. Comfy but cute. Mum using Trevor as a threat against me is still fresh in my mind and I couldn't look her in the eyes anymore. I plan on ignoring her and Trevor the whole way there and back. It wasn't as if we had anything interesting to say to each other anyway. How sad is that? After showering, changing and completing my hair and makeup, I'm finally ready. 23 minutes, not bad. I grin, feeling proud of myself. How many other girls can say they got ready at that time? My stomach still flares up in pain and I'm on constant painkillers to dull the pain out, but I manage to make myself look presentable. I grab my phone off my bed and tuck it into the small shoulder bag I'm taking with me. Exhaling slowly, I open my bedroom door and walk downstairs. Let's get this over with. The wedding ceremony was incredibly boring. After being greeted by 101 cousins and aunties I never knew I had, I was officially pooped out. My eyes became heavy, fluttering shut. I was exhausted and my body craved sleep. A sharp jab in my ribs woke me up suddenly and I hissed in pain, clutching it tightly. I spun my head around, glaring at the culprit Trevor. He was frowning at me, eyes burning holes through mine. I sighed and sat up straighter, willing for the ceremony to be over soon. On the plus side, Auntie Mandy looked gorgeous. She was wearing a stunning white floor-length dress, her smile lighting up the room. When she saw me, her eyes filled with tears and she hugged me tightly. I grinned as she repeated over and over again how much I had grown. The woman practically cut off my circulation for a few minutes, but I didn't mind. It's a nice feeling like you belong, even if it is only for a day. After the vows and photographs, everyone began to head towards the party room to celebrate in style. Akka gets so drunk, you forget your own name. I walked slowly behind everyone, dragging my feet as I went. All I want is to sleep. Is that so much to ask? Emily, is that you? I spin around at the mention of my name and my eyes connect with my favorite human ever, Grandpa. One gasp and run towards him, my eyes filling up quickly with tears. He opens his arms out for an embrace and I fall into him, knocking him backwards slightly. He chuckles quietly, returning my hug. I rest my head against his shoulders, memories flooding back to me. My emotions suddenly explode and I begin bawling my eyes out, staining his immaculately crisp white shirt. I haven't seen him in years. Every school holiday I'd spend a few days with him and Grandma and we'd spend endless hours by the lake. I listened carefully whilst my granddad fished and told me all about his adventurous childhood stories. He was older now and a lot smaller than I remembered him. His woody scent remained the exact same and I inhaled it, a smile stretching across my face. Grandad stood back and looked at me, his eyes glistening with unshed, happy tears. You've grown up so much, Ellie, he smiles, sadness filling his eyes. I grin at his nickname for me, which sounds like music to my ears after not hearing it for so long. I wipe away my own tears, feeling a little embarrassed for the way I reacted. I've always thought about him over the years but didn't know how to get in contact. Mum always refused if I ever asked for her help. I've missed you, Pops, I murmured, hugging him harder. He holds onto me and strokes my hair before reassuring me that everything is going to be okay. He repeats it over and over again. I'll make sure of it, Ellie. I don't know how he plans to make it okay, but I hold onto his words tightly. He's my only hope right now. I flinch as I pull my dress over my head, getting undressed. I scan my body, eyes landing on my stomach where huge ugly bruises stare back at me. I feel hideous. They don't seem to be healing, which concerns me that something is definitely wrong. I sigh in defeat, knowing I can't go to the hospital to get them treated. What could I possibly say? Years of abuse wouldn't go unnoticed by professionals and I know Trevor would kill me if I searched for help. I shake my head, ridding myself of the thoughts. After the wedding, I made sure to put my number into Granddad's phone so we could stay in contact. I feel slightly better knowing I have one person to rely on. I've just gotten him back, so I'm ready to let him go anytime soon. I made Grandad promise me he wouldn't let Mum or Trevor know we exchanged numbers, but he was already one step ahead of me, his eyes filling with sadness as he nodded silently. I think a part of him knew I lived in destruction and pain constantly. I change into some fresh pajamas and sit down on my bedroom floor before pulling out various different sheets of homework. It keeps me occupied while I spend the weekend locked in my room. Trevor doesn't let me leave the house and I don't have the courage to sneak out. I've never been out with my friends to experience things every teenager should. Sadness fills me as I think of teenage memories I'm missing out on that my friends aren't. One. Parties, boys, hanging out with friends. All superficial, however I want to experience it, desperately. I grab my phone and scroll through my contacts, landing on Trish. I ring her and wait patiently for her to answer. Hello? She giggles on the other end, sounding breathless. Trish, are you okay? I ask her, concerned at her difficulty to breathe. She giggles louder and I faintly hear a male voice in the background, instructing her to hang up. I gasp, slapping my knee. Trisha Louise Lockwood, do you have a boy with you? She erupts into giggles and I roll my eyes before ending the call. No way am I listening to my best friend making out with someone through a phone. My nose scrunches up in disgust before I sigh sadly from the lack of my love life. I may be 16 now, but before I know it, I'll be 80 surrounded by 60 different cats. Chapter 6. I'm completely drenched with rain, head to toe. Our hair is soaking wet and clings to my forehead unattractively as I run under some shelter. I squint my eyes and look around to take advantage of someone with an umbrella. No luck. I sigh and mentally prepare myself to make a sprint for the college doors. 3, 2, 1. I run as fast as I psychically can, internally crying as my Converse slaps against the wet floor. Pain immediately flares up my side from the simple movement and I wince as I make it to the doors. The pain is much more frequent now and I don't know whether my body can handle this beating. I close my eyes, leaning against the wall for a moment as I struggle to brave the pain. Moments pass and I inhale deeply before entering. I ignore the amused look from my classmates and head straight for the bathroom. I let out a groan as I come face to face with my appearance. My hair is a frizzy mess and mascara runs down my cheeks. As for my clothes, they stick to me uncomfortably, the material heavy with rain. The door is pushed open and Ivory walks in, one of my classmates. She takes one look at me and bursts into fits of laughter. I scowl and pout at her, signaling for her to pass me some paper towels. "Do you need some help, Emily?" She giggles, handing me a wad of paper towels. I raise my brows. "Is it that obvious?" I respond, humor lining my voice. Ivory laughs again, her auburn hair flying around her face. Her laugh is infectious and soon enough, I'm laughing alongside her. My body begins to shiver from the cold rain and Ivory smiles at me, shaking her head. "Wait here, I'll be back in a minute." I watch her leave and take the opportunity to dry my hair under the hand dryer. It's the closest thing I have to a real hairdryer but did little to tame my mass of hair. I groan again, running my fingers through it as I attempt to make it look more presentable. The door is pushed open again and Ivory reappears, holding a pile of clothes. She throws them in my direction, giving me a sympathetic look. "These are the only dry clothes I could find. Thank you, you're a lifesaver." I smile at her gratefully, heading into an empty stall to change. "You're welcome, Em. See you in class." She yells over the cubicle door and I hear her leave, allowing me to get changed in peace. I hold up the clothes, frowning as I realize they belong to a guy. The hoodie is 10 times too big and when I pull it on, a familiar scent of cologne mist with the slightest hint of smoke wraps around me. Jake's smug face immediately flashes through my mind. I groan quietly, of course the clothes belong to Jake Melvin. I step out of my jeans, grimacing as they stick to my legs and pull over Jake's shorts. It's a good job I shaved recently. I tie the waistband tighter because the minute I let go, they fall round my ankles comically. I look down at myself and let out a deep breath. I look like a mess. I mutter unhappily, bending down to retrieve my wet clothes from the floor. I place them over the heaters in an attempt to dry them. Next I have to tackle my face. I decide to remove all my makeup as it's already ruined, streaking down my cheeks. A bruise that hasn't faded yet underneath my eye stares back at me. It's definitely noticeable, but to me I can see it stick out like a sore thumb. I sigh and rummage through my bag looking for anything to cover it up. Nothing, nada, zilch. Taking a deep breath to calm myself down, I glance at the bruise again. I'd hide behind my hair and if anyone asked, I'd say I hit myself in the face with something. I opened the door and stepped out into a silent, deserted lobby. Great, now I'm late to class too. Ditching for the day looked appealing to me but the rain continued to pound down outside and Trevor was at home so I didn't have. I'd end up freezing. Anywhere else to go. Besides I'm in shorts 3 sizes too big for me. I slowly walked to my classroom, pulling at Jake's clothes feeling insecure. I pushed open the classroom door and greeted 30 sets of eyes, 31 if you count Mrs. Wilkins. My face blushes and I stare at my feet, feeling extremely self-conscious. A few sniggers broke out around the class and I looked up to meet Mrs. Wilkins' amused face. "Take a seat, Emily." She gestures towards the only empty seat and I nod, my face burning up immensely. Trish is staring directly at me, her eyes shining brightly with amusement. I scowl at her and sit beside her quickly. Placing my bag underneath the desk, I glanced to my right and my eyes met Jake's. He's leaning back in his chair, one arm draped around the back of it. The other is resting on the table in front of him. He stares at me before his lips finally twitch up into a smile. I can feel his eyes scanning over me, over his clothes. They wander down my body before gliding back up again and I feel my cheeks burn in embarrassment. I narrow my eyes and stick my tongue out at him childishly. In return he laughs a low sexy chuckle, causing me to grin back at him. Whoa Emily, since when is Jake sexy? I clear my throat and tear my gaze off him before turning towards Trish. She's looking between me and Jake with a confused expression. I shrug in denial, hoping she wouldn't question me over him. Wait for me after class, okay? She whispers and I nod silently, paying attention to Mrs. Wilkins as she reaches the lesson. No doubt Trish wants to talk to me about the thing between me and Jake, but the truth is, I don't know what it is either. I remain behind after class to catch up on classwork I've missed when I hear the door open and shut. I glance up from my papers to see Jake leaning against the door. He simply stood there, his arms folded across his chest as he watched me. Are you going to stand there all day and stare at me or actually do something? My voice trails off with a playful smile on my face. I came to tell you to keep the clothes. My eyebrows shoot up in surprise and I feel slightly taken aback. I was going to give 'em back to you, I told him quietly. He shakes his head, his lips twitching into a smirk. From across the room I can still make out the sparkle in his cobalt eyes. They look better on you. I feel the blush instantly creep up my neck and onto my cheeks as I stare at my papers, too embarrassed to make eye contact with Jake. My stomach flutters from his words and I have to bite down on my lip to stop myself smiling. I see Jake walk towards me from the corner of my eye and sit a few seats away from me, swinging his legs on top of the table. My eyes widen at his actions, but he appears unfazed as he pulls out his phone from his pockets. This boy is dangerous and here I am, alone with him. The silly thing is I don't feel scared. It isn't the same fearful feeling when Trevor is in my presence. I nod slowly to myself. It's completely different, I mutter as it dawned on me how petrified I am of Trevor. I mean, the man terrifies me. What's different? Nothing. Never mind. I'm thinking out loud. I explain quietly, hiding my face behind my hair so he couldn't see the blush on my cheeks. Do you do that often? Jake responds, humor lining his voice. My blush deepens and I know he's teasing me. Only when I'm nervous. Why do I make you nervous? You don't. I lied. Now you're contradicting yourself, Muffin. You told me you only do it when you're nervous, so why are you nervous? Don't call me Muffin. I like Muffin. Muffin suits you. I scowl, looking up for the first time to show him the effect his pet name has on me. I hate it. What would you prefer I call you? He's looking at me intensely, eyes sparkling in my direction. Moments pass and I feel the air grow thick between us as we silently stare at one another from one end of the classroom to the other. Emily? I finally whisper, clearing my throat. I want my voice to sound confident, but it fails miserably. Emily is what everyone else calls you. It's kind of my name. No, I'll stick with Muffin. It's cute, like you. I shake my head, my lips twitching up into a smile. Jake sits back and grins widely at me, looking like he's won the argument. I look at him from under my lashes, and when I do, his eyes narrow and the smile on his face vanishes. My heart begins to pick up pace as I watch his features turn to stone. He swings his legs off the table and begins to walk slowly towards me, like a predator after its prey. My heart hammered against my chest as he crouched down, his piercing blue eyes staring straight into mine. His head is tilted slightly and his eyes appear emotionless, miles away from the playful glint in them previously. His alluring scent hit me and I could feel my head spin, throwing me off balance. I swallow nervously, my gaze flickering back up to his eyes. They are so beautiful, dark and mysterious, with a story to tell. Swirls of blue mixed in with his eyes and I find myself feeling lost in them, almost as if I'm in a dream-induced daze. My breathing hitches as Jake inches a little closer. Where did you get that bruise? His voice is blunt, snapping me straight out of the daze I'm in. Disappointment settles inside my stomach. Oh right, the bruise. Emily, where did you get the bruise? He repeats, growing impatient. I stare straight back at him and without hesitation, reply in a bored, monotone voice. I'm clumsy, I fell down some steps yesterday. Jake studies me for a second, a deep frown on his face. You're lying to me. I immediately felt a lump lodge itself inside my throat, restricting me from being able to defend myself. I'm not lying, I whisper. A look of hurt flashes through his eyes before he stands up, walking away from me and towards the door. He swings it open, but before he leaves, he turns around and stares straight into my eyes. Bullshit, Jake calls me out, his voice low. He doesn't wait for me to reply and pulls his hood over his head, disappearing from the doorway. He leaves me alone in the room, my heart hammering against my chest. That's when his words dawn on me. He's the first person to know I'm lying. Chapter 7. I stop off at the local chemist after college and look around the shelves for something to ease the pain in my stomach. I desperately need something to numb the agony. I'm still dressed in Jake's clothes, my own still damp inside my bag. Can I help you? A voice asks, directing the question at me. I snap out of my little daze and turn to face a worker in her early 40s, smiling at me. Yes, please. My brother is a boxer and he's in pain with his stomach. I wondered if you had anything to help him? I lie, knowing I'm babbling way too much. I can't help it, I'm a crappy liar. Has he been treated professionally? She asks me, frowning a little. My eyes widen at her question and I feel my heart pick up pace. Why yes, but he's also been recommended to take painkillers, strong ones, I mumble quietly, staring at the floor. Follow me, she responds politely, disappearing down an aisle. I breathe a sigh of relief, following her in the same direction she disappeared. Tell him to take these 3 times a day after food. They are strong painkillers, so no more than 3, she informed me strictly. I nodded and thanked her, paid for the tablets and left the chemist. Once I was outside and around the corner, I immediately swallowed 2 without water. Please help me, I whisper, shuffling myself in the direction of home. I'm halfway up the stairs when Trevor stops me, slurring his words once again. What the fuck are you wearing? He yells up the stairs. I turn slowly, feeling exhausted from the day. Much to my dismay, my heart begins to pick up speed in fear. Trevor is standing at the bottom of the stairs in his pajamas even though it's the afternoon. Slob. I can feel him glaring straight at me, eyes burning holes through mine. He was clearly growing impatient, his foot tapping against the floor. It was raining this morning, so I changed into some dry clothes, I explained myself quietly, signaling at Jake's clothes. I turned back around, wanting to escape to my room as soon as I could. You filthy slut, you disgust me. Filthy slut? What did you just call me? I ask, turning back around and narrowing my eyes at him. You're a filthy slut. Do you let every boy have a go on you in school? He snaps back, his eyes flashing with hatred for me. I don't miss the smirk that grew on his lips as he tore me down with his words. I immediately feel my chest tighten with anger. My fists clench by my sides and I narrow my eyes into thin slits, staring directly at him. See the hatred in my eyes for you. I can feel my chest rising up and down as anger and adrenaline swelled together, becoming dangerous. Without thinking about my actions, I spit down, aiming directly for his face. I was taught growing up that it was the most disrespectful, dirty thing to do. That's exactly why Trevor deserved it. My spit lands directly above his lips and slides down onto his upper lip. Bullseye. I grin, feeling proud of my work. Trevor's whole body tenses up and he flares his nostrils at me, getting ready to charge like a raging bull. I immediately turn and bolt up the remaining stairs, heading for my bedroom door. I quickly lock it, pushing the chest of drawers in front of the door. My heart continues to pound and it isn't long before Trevor hammers on it with his fists, hard. The door threatens to come off its hinges and I stare wide-eyed at them. It's the only thing separating me from the beast. Please go away. He's raging behind the door, screaming at me so much, I can't make out the words. I imagine him frothing at the mouth, fists slamming into the wood. He suddenly stops, silence filling the house. I can hear my heart beating inside of my ears and I frown, leaning closer to the door. What has she done this time, honey? Mum asks him, her voice small and timid. The fact that she doesn't stop him sickens me to the core. Imagine the person who is supposed to protect you, the fiercest in this world, standing back and allowing such pain to come to you. Chapter 8. I hate her. Trevor hisses and I roll my eyes at his immature behavior. I listen as he murmurs something else, much quieter this time. I can't make out the words, but whatever he said causes Mum to grow silent. I frown deeper at the door. What is happening? Moments pass and I hear Trevor retreat back down the stairs, his feet slamming down hard onto the steps in rage. He's leaving me alone? I swear it to you, I will kill her slowly if she gets in my way again. My blood runs cold at his words. My hands begin shaking profusely and I drop my bag to the floor in shock. My phone and clothes spill out, but I don't care. I walk over to my bed and slide down onto the floor beside it, feeling my body and mind turn completely numb. Kill me. The thing that disgusted me the most was that my own mother didn't disagree with him. She didn't argue back or stick up for me. A normal mother would call the police, kick him out the house in fear for their daughter's safety. I feel Billa rise to the back of my throat and run to the bathroom, nearly missing the toilet bowl. My eyes sting and I let out a tiny gasp, kneeling against the toilet for support. Tears roll down my cheek and I whimper, my entire body shaking in fright. The constant years of abuse finally began to hit me all at once and I find it impossible to breathe. Every single beating runs through my mind, Trevor's cruel taunts and evil eyes. I have to get away from here. Where would I go? Trevor would find me. I have no choice. I'm trapped. The thought of Trevor continuing to beat me, if not worse, sent chills running through my entire body. I lay against the cold tiles, pulling my knees to my chest and shivering in fright. Please God, let this all end. I cry out, my chest heaving with sobs. My father's face flashes through my mind and I yell out, kicking the wall opposite me in frustration. I know it wasn't his fault, but I couldn't help thinking this wouldn't have happened if he didn't die. Why, Dad? Why? I yell at the bathroom ceiling, feeling my cheeks soaked with tears. Why did you leave me? I whimper quietly, tugging at my hair. Despite the strands being locked around my fingers, I feel no pain. Instead, my thoughts begin to swirl around my head, going so fast I can barely understand what's going on around me. I feel my sanity slipping away second by second and my heart rate goes insane from fear and anger. My jaw clenches tightly and I tug at my hair harder, feeling anger towards myself. Why am I not strong? If only I could find the strength to expose Mum and Trevor, but I am weak. Ever since my father left me alone in this cruel world, I began to slowly fall apart. A piece of me chipped away day by day and I had come to realize that I didn't even recognize myself anymore. I'm a broken shell that was once the loving and fun Emily Wentworth. It's like a sudden switch goes off inside me and I suddenly feel numb. Numb to the pain and heartache taking over my body. The most terrifying emotion a person can feel is absolutely nothing. Feeling nothing means you simply don't care anymore. You don't care about yourself, and that is more dangerous than someone holding a gun at your temple, ready to shoot. You feel no fear, no anger, no pain. I slump backwards against the tiles, my eyes staring straight ahead in a daze. I don't know how long I will remain like that. I don't know whether it's minutes, hours or days. Eventually my eyes flicker shut and I see darkness. I fall into a sleep, feeling absolutely nothing. Chapter 9. Light streams in through the window, settling around me like a protective halo. My eyes slowly flutter open and I groan, squeezing them shut tightly. The sunlight is too bright for my sensitive vision. My eyes are stinging and I can barely keep them open for any longer than a few seconds. I murmur weakly, my voice croaky and low. I listen out carefully for any noise, my body shaking in fear. Silence surrounds me, feeling of loneliness hitting me like a ton of bricks. I'm lying on the bathroom floor, my head resting against the tiles in an uncomfortable position. My entire body aches and burns from any slight movement. My eyes fill with tears as reality hits me. I'm forced to continue living this nightmare. I inhale deeply before gripping tightly onto the toilet seat as I attempt to lift myself up. My legs wobble underneath me unsteadily and my arms begin to shake vigorously from the strain. All I want to do right now is sleep. My body is screaming at me to give in and rest from weeks, years of being mistreated. I shuffle over and lower myself carefully in the shower, sitting cross-legged on the shower floor. The second the warm water washes over my body, I feel my shoulders slump in relief. I spent the next half hour in the shower, feeling completely numb to the world. I feel disorientated from my exhaustion and the heat from the shower. My body sways as I crawl to my bed, opening up my nightstand drawer and taking 2 sleeping tablets. I dress into clean pajamas and bury myself deep inside my bed surrounded by blankets. The clock on my bedside table reads 10 a.m. The thought of attending school makes me nauseous, my stomach churning. I pull the duvet around me and snuggle in, breathing in the familiar scent. Barely a minute passes before my body finally gives in and I fall into a deep, much-needed sleep. I wake up to the sound of my phone going off, over and over again. I groan and reach out for it on my bedside table, but it's not in its usual place. I sigh and slowly sit up, my body screaming in pain. It's dark outside and my clock reads 11 p.m. I slept through the whole day. Wow, that's a new record for me, I mutter. I crawl onto the floor towards my phone, which is by my door. The screen is brightly lit up, alerting me that I have several missed calls and numerous texts. I let out a small groan as I reached over for it. My arms can barely support my weight and I feel myself grow lightheaded. I know I'm about to pass out if I don't rest, so I shuffle back towards my bed, phone in hand. I press the home button and wince at the screen. I am so not ready to face brightness. I have 10 texts from Trish, asking if I'm okay and whether I'll be coming into college. As the texts progress, Trish begins to believe I'm beginning to ignore her and don't want to be friends anymore. I let out a small laugh at how overreactive the girl can be sometimes. After texting her back and letting her know I'm fine and our friendship is fine, I scroll along to my next text message. It's from Ivory, asking whether I'm okay as I don't usually skip a day. I smile at her concern and respond to her, again letting her know that I'm fine. Nothing is ever fine, but I can't tell her that. I can never tell anyone. I'm afraid if my secret is exposed, people will treat me differently. Like fine china, breakable, fragile, that's not how I want to be known. I don't want people to whisper behind my back, whispering about my abuse. I don't want rumors being created about how Trevor did this and did that to me. The next text message is from an unknown number. My heart speeds up as my mind wanders to the night where I received the call from the person claiming to be my dead father. Since then, I've had no other calls, but the thought of it still causes an uneasy feeling to settle inside my stomach. I breathe in sharply, composing myself before my eyes scan over the text. Are you okay, Jay? I bite my lower lip as I try to figure out who's texting me. It takes me a while to realize, but eventually, I get it. Jay is obviously Jake. Chapter 10. How did he get my number? Why does he care if I'm okay? My heart begins to pick up speed once again, but not because I'm afraid. Because I think Jake cares about me. Why else would he ask how I am? I quickly push the thought to the back of my mind. The boy doesn't care about people, definitely not me. I decide against ignoring him, so I quickly text him back, wondering whether he'll even respond. I'm fine, thanks. I sent the text and don't expect to get a response back immediately. I sit and stare at my phone for a few moments, surprised that he's texting me. Where were you today? And if you didn't already know, it's Jake. I roll my eyes and text him back, a ghost of a smile flickering across my face. Me, I know it's you, silly. And I was at home, busy. Jake, can I call you? I hesitate at my phone, taken aback by Jake's request. I'm afraid if he hears my voice, he'll sense the pain I'm feeling. I bite down on my lower lip, strangely wanting to hear his voice. I feel so lonely, and maybe talking to Jake will take my mind off things. Me sure. My phone rings instantly and I glance down at it for a second or two, unsure of what to do. Without thinking too hard about it, I answered the phone, holding it up to my ear. Hello? I whisper, my voice quiet and hoarse. Hey Emily. I smile, liking how my name sounds coming from him. I'm also surprised at how comfortable I feel talking to him. Hi Jake, are you okay? Jake asks. I notice his voice is deeper than usual with a hint of raspiness. Yeah, I'm probably coming down with the flu or something. Have you been sleeping? I ask him, sounding amused. You got me. I laugh quietly, pulling the duvet up to my chin. My body sinks into the covers and I sigh, shoulders slumping in relief. Do you want me to come round and keep you company? I can bring medicine. Jake responds, his voice raspy. At 11:30? It's dark outside. I respond, ignoring the flutter in my stomach. I can't believe Jake Melvin just offered to keep me company and bring me medicine. I'm a night person, Jake responds back, humor lining his voice. Like a vampire? Yeah, I'm pretty good at the whole blood-sucking thing as well. Gross, Jake. I giggle, his voice washing away any feeling of loneliness. Instead, a warm sensation grows inside my chest and a smile stretches across my face. I thought all girls love vampires? Jake jokes. I roll my eyes at his stereotypical thought. Not this girl. Besides, are you trying to make me love you? My words are risky, directed to be a joke. Once they leave my lips, I instantly regret them. Jake pauses for a moment on the other end, silence falling between us. I don't need to try, he eventually replies, and I immediately scoff, the conversation turning lighthearted once again. You're so big-headed. Not every girl wants you, Jake. That's where you're wrong, Muffin. No one can resist my handsome face and bright bubbly personality. His tone of voice is sarcastic, causing me to giggle once again. Are we still describing you? Because that sounds nothing like you, Jake. I responded. Ouch, that hurt Wentworth. Do you want me to kiss it better? I tease, feeling my cheek ache from the grin on my face. Jake chuckles on the other end and I imagine him smirking, a cheeky glint in his eyes. Gorgeous blue eyes that resemble the ocean. I'd love for you to kiss it better. Jake responds without hesitation. I pause, noticing the playfulness right his voice has disappeared. I swallow the lump in my throat nervously, unsure of how to respond. I'll hold you to that, I say quietly, a slight shiver running down my spine. Jake pauses on the other line for a brief second. Make sure you do, Muffin. We end up chatting on the phone for the next hour, talking about all the silly things in life. The conversation never turns deep, but I prefer it that way. One thing I noticed is that I couldn't stop smiling and giggling the entire conversation. After the call, I turned my phone off, putting it underneath my pillow. Jake made me feel better. I don't quite feel like I've just done 10 rounds with Mike Tyson and obviously lost. I close my eyes, drifting off into one of the most peaceful sleeps I've had in a long time. My dreams are focused around the people in my life that make me happy. The people who make me smile and cause a warm feeling to settle inside my stomach from the thought of them. Dad, Trish, Grandad, Ivory, Jake. Yes, even I'm surprised at the last one. Chapter 11. My safe haven. Let me tell you about it. A cafe located down small side streets that's only a 10-minute walk from where I live. It's a small building, possibly too small, but that's what I like about it. The moment I enter, the warmth and scent ravels around me, making me feel safe. My father and I are the only people to know of its existence, which means Trevor has no idea that it's my favorite place to hide. I love to sit by the window when it's raining and watch as the droplets of rain slide down the glass. The entire building holds a special place in my heart, along with fond memories of me and my father's view. After ordering a hot chocolate and a cheese toastie, I scan the dining area and make my way towards a seat in the corner that's out of. Lulu's Cafe is designed like the inside of a cabin. Dark wooden booths line one corner and chocolate leather sofas are along the other. Pictures of assorted pastries, cakes and coffee covers the walls. The delicious scent of warm chocolate, coffee beans and pastry permanently lingers in the air. My stomach grumbles loudly in protest, screaming out for something to ravish. I can't remember the last time I ate. There you go, dear. Enjoy. The owner smiles, placing the plate down onto the table. The smell of toasted bread and cheese hits me and my stomach rumbles embarrassingly. Thank you, I respond, smiling at her in return. As she begins to walk away, my phone buzzes inside my pocket. I smile immediately as I pull it out, hoping to see Jake's contact flash up on the screen. It isn't Jake. My palms begin to sweat and I look around, the paranoia building up inside me. My hands begin to tremble as I scan over the text a second time. You shouldn't be skipping college. I'm watching you, Emily. Who is this person? Why are they watching me? That's not creepy at all. Who are you? Leave me alone. I quickly send the text, slamming my phone down onto the table. I blow out the breath I'm holding and lean back against the chair, closing my eyes. Suddenly I don't have much of an appetite for the cheese toastie. After finishing up at Lulu's, I decided the safest place for me to be is college. It's supervised by teachers and somewhat safe. I've already missed 2 hours, but showing my face is better than not attending at all. On the way there I can't help shake the feeling that I'm being followed, my every move watched. I knock on my classroom door and enter, my eyes landing on a substitute teacher sitting at the desk instead of Mrs. Wilkins. "Sorry, I'm late, dentist appointment," I explain briefly before taking a seat next to Trish. I still feel terrible, my body is weak and constantly in pain. I've managed to hide the bruises forming on my skin underneath a grey turtleneck jumper. I ignore the stares around me and instead pull out a textbook from my bag, placing it onto the desk. Beside me, Trish watches before leaning closer. "You look terrible, Em. Shouldn't you be at home resting?" "Gee, thanks, Trish." I shake my head, giving her a small smile. "I feel fine." I lie effortlessly. "Is it the flu? What if it's Ebola?" Trish grimaces and I notice her not so subtle way of creating distance between us. I immediately splutter with laughter and curse myself for doing so as pain shoots through my side. I grip onto it tightly, waiting for the pain to subside. Chapter 12. It's not Ebola, I explain, breathing in and exhaling out slowly. It's always better to be safe than sorry. Ebola kills pretty fast, Em. Trish continues, her eyes wide as she inspects me from head to toe. "I'm fine, Trish. Let me copy your notes that I've missed." I mumble, reaching for her book. She nods and pushes it further in my direction. As I'm halfway through writing, Trish leans closer and bumps her shoulder with mine. "I have so much to tell you." It's a completely innocent interaction, but the force of the impact against my bruised muscles causes me to hiss in pain. I suck in a breath and yelp, jumping backwards. Her eyes widen and she stills, watching me squirm beside her. I close my eyes and silently pray the tears building up inside my eyes will disappear. "Excuse me," I mutter, my jaw clenched from the pain. I quickly stand up and head straight for the door, ignoring the murmurs of my classmates behind me. I don't care anymore, all I want is the pain to stop. I run through the empty hallway, pushing past the double doors and heading straight for the girls' bathroom. Painful tears roll down my cheeks and I wipe them away quickly. I'm strong. I can do this. I clutched my arm desperately and let the tears slide down my cheek willingly, knowing I'm not strong at all. I'm lying to myself. I hear the door push open and I hide my face behind my hands, hoping whoever it is would leave me alone. "Emily?" His voice is low and lined with concern. "Leave me alone, Jake," I respond, my words muffled behind my hand. I glanced up through my blurred vision to find Jake stood against the doorway, a worried expression on his face. Upon noticing the tears in my eyes, he walks towards me and crouches down. I immediately feel my stomach twist in nerves and I want to shuffle backwards, but for some reason, I don't. His blue eyes watch me intensely for a moment, scanning over my features. Eventually he looks directly at me, blue eyes darkening. "I think it's time you tell me what's going on with you." I remain silent, unable to let him into my thoughts. I couldn't tell anyone, the thought terrifies me. Jake sighs at my silence and instead reaches up, wiping away a tear with his fingers. I immediately freeze, sucking in a deep breath from the way his fingers feel against my cheeks. He places one hand under my chin, tilting my head up so that I'm holding eye contact with him. "The teacher wouldn't allow Trish to leave." He mumbles apologetically. "What about you?" I ask him quietly. "I'm not going to let a teacher stop me." He responds, giving me a small smile. I can't help but notice how soft his voice is, completely opposite to the way he speaks to everyone else around him. "Please talk to me," Jake pleads, his words taking me by surprise. I close my eyes and shake my head, leaning back against the wall. The words that I want to tell him are at the tip of my tongue, but no matter how hard I try, I can't speak the truth. My life is completely messed up. I eventually mumble, which isn't the complete truth, but not a lie either. I feel his arms wrap around me and he pulls me into his chest without hesitation. His body feels warm, and for the first time since my dad died, I feel safe. The feeling of safety is one that I haven't felt for years. I'm surprised that someone like Jake Melvin is the first person to make me experience it. I want to remain here forever, the one place I truly feel safe. I can hear the soft thumping of his heart through his shirt and one sniffle, burying my head closer to him. Whatever it is, it's going to be okay, Jake tells me, not pressuring me into opening up. I relax against him and we both remain in the same position for a while. A comfortable silence falls upon us until Jake gently pushes backwards, his eyes meeting mine again. I feel embarrassed and reach up, wiping away the last of my tears. Sorry, I must look like a mess right now, I mumble, a red tint covering my cheeks. Jake doesn't respond and looks at me intensely, almost as if he wants to say something. Before he can, his phone begins to beep inside his pocket. He reaches for it but doesn't break eye contact with me, and his stare makes me feel vulnerable and exposed. I clear my throat and look away, focusing on a small piece of rubbish on the floor instead. From the corner of my eye, I see Jake smile before glancing down at his phone. The smile on his face vanishes as his eyes scan over the message. I have to go. I nodded quickly but couldn't help feeling a little disheartened. Jake must have noticed my disappointment and he sighs, running a hand through his hair. He pushes it back away from his eyes and stands up off the floor, holding out a hand for me to take. I reach out, placing my hand in his, and I'm not surprised that his hands radiate warmth just like his body. Thank you, I say quietly, noticing how close our bodies are. I could see his chest in front of me, rising and falling as he took slow breaths. Anytime, Jake whispers. He inches forward, raising his hand to tuck a piece of stray hair behind my ear. I flinch automatically but don't realize that I'm doing it. Why do you do that? He asks suddenly, looking at me with his head slightly tilted to the side. I glance to the right, unable to keep eye contact with him as I'm afraid he'll be able to see right through my lies. I don't know what you're talking about. Jake raises an eyebrow and opens his mouth to respond, then his phone beeps again, multiple times. Fuck, he mutters under his breath, clearly annoyed at the person on the other end. He answers the call, holding his phone up to his ear. As he listens to the call on the other end, his blue piercing eyes never leave mine. I find myself staring back, getting lost inside the swirls of blue and his thick dark lashes. Don't let him leave, I'll be there in 20, he eventually says, his tone low and lined with a danger I haven't heard before. His voice snaps me out of my daze and I blink, taking a step back. It's my turn to raise my eyebrow at him questioningly and he shrugs in response, pocketing his phone. I'll see you later, he says quietly. The only thing I can respond with is a simple nod of my head. Jake takes a step back, his eyes flickering over me one last time. He sighs unhappily before disappearing out of the bathroom. I watch him go, replaying the last half hour in my head over and over again. Chapter 13. Thank you, I respond, smiling at her in return. As she begins to walk away, my phone buzzes inside my pocket. I smile immediately as I pull it out, hoping to see Jake's contact flash up on the screen. It isn't Jake. My palms begin to sweat and I look around, the paranoia building up inside me. My hands begin to tremble as I scan over the text a second time. You shouldn't be skipping college. I'm watching you, Emily. Who is this person? Why are they watching me? That's not creepy at all. Who are you? Leave me alone. I quickly send the text, slamming my phone down onto the table. I blow out the breath I'm holding and lean back against the chair, closing my eyes. Suddenly I don't have much of an appetite for the cheese toastie. After finishing up at Lulu's, I decided the safest place for me to be is college. It's supervised by teachers and somewhat safe. I've already missed 2 hours, but showing my face is better than not attending at all. On the way there I can't help shake the feeling that I'm being followed, my every move watched. I knock on my classroom door and enter, my eyes landing on a substitute teacher sat at the desk instead of Mrs. Wilkins. Sorry, I'm late, dentist appointment. I explain briefly before taking a seat next to Trish. I still feel terrible, my body is weak and constantly in pain. I've managed to hide the bruises forming on my skin underneath a grey turtleneck jumper. I ignore the stares around me and instead pull out a textbook from my bag, placing it onto the desk. Beside me, Trish watches before leaning closer. You look terrible, Em. Shouldn't you be at home resting? Gee, thanks, Trish. I shake my head, giving her a small smile. I feel fine. I lie effortlessly. Is it the flu? What if it's Ebola? Trish grimaces and I notice her not-so-subtle way of creating distance between us. I immediately splutter with laughter and curse myself for doing so as pain shoots through my side. I grip onto it tightly, waiting for the pain to subside. Party at mine. Everyone's coming. Ivory grins excitedly, handing me and Trish a note with an address scribbled messily across it. I spritz myself with some perfume before standing back and scrutinizing myself in the mirror. Wow, we look hot, I grin, holding my hand in the air for Trish to high-five. Trish beams back at me and slaps my hand hard. Yes we do. Trish smiles, adjusting her bright pink crop top. She wore it over black distressed jeans matched with pink stiletto heels. Trish doesn't leave her house for a party without bringing her bright pink heels. Come on, we've got a party to get to. Trish giggles excitedly, grabbing my hand and dragging me out of her room. A smile stretched across my face and I felt my level of excitement rise quickly. This is really happening. Tonight is the night I break my party virginity. Let's make my first party a memorable one. I grin, feeling completely carefree. It's time for me to finally act like a teenager. As soon as the taxi parks up outside and I step out, I gaze up at Ivory's house in slight awe. The large building standing in front of me was decorated beautifully from the outside, the grass was trimmed and flowers looked after. Two expensive-looking cars are parked across the driveway, their shine so bright despite the darkness of the night. Wow, I say under my breath, my stomach breaking out into nervous butterflies. Beside me, Trish let out a low whistle. Are you ready? She asks me, holding out her palm. I glance down at it before nodding. She takes hold of my hand, intertwining our fingers together. Her warmth spreads through my palm, calming down the nerves bubbling inside of me. When we enter, the hallway and living room is crowded with teenagers, laughing and chatting. The music blared all around the house, bouncing off the walls. I crane my neck, noticing a large group of tightly packed people dancing in the living room. Across from them, a bunch of guys are playing beer pong, clutching bottles of alcohol with silly carefree smiles on their faces. Emily, Trish, you made it. Ivory grins, appearing in front of me. She hands me a drink in a plastic white cup and I take it from her, smiling back. Hey, yeah, I did. This looks great, I said loudly, leaning into her ear so that she could hear me over the loud music. Any louder and we'll all be deaf within the next hour. It's one of my legendary parties, trust me. You won't forget this night. She grins widely before wandering off into the crowds of people. I lift the cup to my nose and sniff it warily. The smell of alcohol knocks me back so I slowly put it down behind me on a table, grimacing slightly. Oh come on, it's not that bad. Trish chuckles from my side and I roll my eyes before picking the drink back up. I guess it is my birthday tomorrow, right? I said, justifying my action. Trish nodded eagerly, signaling for me to take a drink. I lifted it up gingerly to my lips and let the liquid run down my throat. Surprisingly, it didn't taste as bad as I thought it would, fruity with a little zing to it. Chapter 15. That isn't as bad as I thought it would be, I tell her and Trish giggles, taking a large drink from her own cup. She leans in closer towards me, her features turning serious. Lesson number 1. Don't leave your drink unattended. Lesson 2. Stay away from the hoes and their bros. Lesson 3. Don't wander off with a weird guy you don't know, okay? She says firmly. I nod at her, trying my best to remember all of her tips. Trish nods in satisfaction, her head bouncing up and down. Good, and most importantly, have fun. She grins, pulling me into a tight bear hug. I return her embrace, breathing in deeply. Thanks, Trish. She pulled back and smiled at me, placing one hand on either shoulder. You've got this, bestie, say it with me. Yeah, I've got this. I repeat her words, sounding confident. The volume of the music grows louder and Trish cheers loudly along with several other people. I'm going to get another drink, I'll be back in a minute. Trish yells, disappearing off into the crowd. I nod and smile, watching her go before taking another sip of my drink. My eyes scan over the crowd and land on a familiar face, Austin. I wave at him, giving him a friendly smile. We've spoken once or twice but never had a full-on conversation. Austin is good-looking with his caramel-toned skin and large brown eyes. His lashes are long and fluttery, much to the dismay of every girl in here. He's never short of female attention and I watch as he wanders over towards me, shooting me a cute grin. His eyes drink in my appearance and I find myself blushing, a red tint covering my cheeks. You look cute when you blush. He laughs, pointing at my cheeks. I gave him a shy smile, feeling my cheeks heat up further. I look like a tomato when I blush, don't lie to me. I say playfully, taking another sip of my drink. Austin throws his head back and laughs, his eyes lighting up. Are you enjoying the party? I ask him and he nods, taking a step closer with the same wide smile on his face. I haven't seen anyone I like the look of, until now. His words are suggestive and I can feel the blush deepen on my cheeks. I don't reply and instead nibble on my bottom lip nervously. Austin takes a step closer towards me, resting a hand on my waist. You look great, Emily, do you want to dance? He asks eagerly. I don't respond for a few seconds as I think about his question. Hey, why the hell not? Yeah, let's dance, I respond, following him towards the crowd of dancing bodies. We both begin dancing carelessly with each other and I close my eyes, feeling free. I feel a hand on my waist and I open my eyes to find Austin very close to me, his body dancing against mine. I let out a little nervous giggle, glancing around warily for a familiar face. His hips press into mine and I shuffle backwards, feeling uncomfortable. Austin's hands settle on my hips and I pause, my body stilling. I suck in a breath as he massages the area where Trevor beat me. My body is still tender, covered in bruises. Austin's hands are directly above the bruises. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea after all. I lean towards his ear, a frown fixed on my face from the dull pain in my sides. I think I'm going to go find Trish. I yell into his ears, placing my hands over his in an attempt to move them. His hands tighten, causing an instant flare of pain to shoot through my body. I yell out, yanking myself away from him. Stop, I tell him, my hands beginning to shake. He's staring at my body with hunger in his eyes and I watch as they turn shades darker. Austin takes a step towards me and in return, I take a step back. I'm trapped between sweaty bodies, caged in like an animal. I find myself struggling to breathe, my throat tightening. The nauseating smell of alcohol hits me and Trevor's face instantly flashes through my mind. Chapter 16. The last person I want to think about tonight is Trevor. Austin doesn't seem to hear or see my discomfort. He pushes his body into mine and I shove hard at his chest, hating the way he feels against me. This isn't fun anymore, Austin. I protest, my words doing little to slow him down. Please get. I don't have a chance to finish my sentence as is ripped away from me in an instant. I blink and step back, stumbling into a few other people behind me. Austin was lying on the floor, his eyes wide with surprise and fear. Oh my God, I gasp, however I could feel the relief run through my body. My sides are throbbing painfully and I can't help but wince in pain every time I move. Jake stands over Austin, his shoulders squared defensively. My eyes travel down to his fist that is tense, ready to strike. Jake, don't, I cry, lunging towards him as he leans down to hit him. One of Jake's friends picks me up in one swift move and pulls me back in the crowd, not allowing me to get in between Jake and Austin. You don't want to get in the middle of that, sweetheart, he mutters in my ear, holding me back. I continue to watch in horror as Jake grips Austin by the collar and drags him to his feet. He makes it look effortless despite Austin being the same size as him. The girl asked you to get off her. She shouldn't have to ask twice. His words are icy, dripping with danger. She was enjoying it. Austin spat back, his eyes burning with hatred and fear. My own widened in surprise at his words and I shook my head, protesting. Jake didn't turn around to ask me if he was right, he already knew the answer. If you try that again, you can enjoy my fist in your face. Jake hisses, leaning down to his ear. He doesn't make an effort to quieten his words down, everyone could hear his threatening words. Austin simply chuckles at Jake, challenging him to hit him already. She isn't yours to protect, get the hell off me. Jake makes a low sound in protest and it almost sounds like a growl coming from his throat. I watch in horror as he swings his head back before smashing it into Austin's face. A scream escapes my throat and I want to squeeze my eyes shut so I don't see the blood pouring from his nose. Jake's head snaps towards me and I almost recoil backwards from his eyes. I immediately grow silent, frozen to the spot. His eyes hold a murderous glint and my heart skips a beat in fear. My entire body begins to shake and I open my mouth before clamping it shut again. His eyes are cold, bloodshot and vicious. Just like Trevor. Breathe, Emily, breathe. I remain frozen, staring wide-eyed in terror at Jake. Visions of Trevor beating me with the same cold eyes clouds my mind and I feel like a hand is closing in around my throat tightly. I gasp like a fish out of water and Jake's eyes soften considerably. He walks towards me and I shake my head further, unable to tell him to stop. What's wrong, Emily? I hear Jake ask distantly, but Trevor's threats filled my eyes, taunting me. An arm wraps around my shivering body and I whimper, yanking it away from me. My head is pounding hard and my lungs are tightening further. I whimper in fear, feeling my head go hazy and disorientated. Emily? I began to push through the crowds, my legs wobbling underneath my weight. I need some air, I whisper, barely able to hear my own words. I use the bodies of others to keep myself standing, but it isn't enough. The inability to breathe finally catches up with me and I feel my eyes roll the back of my head. Chapter 17. Emily? It's me, Jake. Jake. I blink away my blurred vision and begin to make sense of my surroundings. I'm lying on a double bed, the sheets crisp white and soft. The walls are painted a baby blue shade, the furnishings white to match the rest of the decor. Jake? I say, turning towards him, my voice shaking. I watch as he sighs heavily, his gaze dropping to the floor to avoid making eye contact with me. Embarrassment fills my body and I sit up, stepping off the bed to leave the room. I have to go, I mumble, my mind disorientated and confused. My legs buckle underneath me weakly and I close my eyes, getting ready to meet the floor. Jake's hand flies out, circling around my waist. He guides me so I'm stuck between his legs, one on either side. I sigh and push on them in an attempt to be free, but they don't move an inch. Stop struggling, Emily, turn around. His voice is quiet, smooth. I turned around, my head hung low, which caused my hair to fall over my face. I like it, it acts like a curtain to protect me. I think Jake knows my secret. Nobody else ever suspected a thing besides Jake. I figured it out by the way he treats me, gentle and caring. He treats me this way because he knows my secret and he feels sorry for me. The girl who's beaten by her stepdad. Jake's hand reaches up, hovering near my face. I'm not going to hurt you, don't flinch, he whispers. I stop breathing from his words, my heart beating wildly against my chest. He slowly tilts my chin up until I'm looking directly into his eyes. They're soft and warm, completely opposite to the murderous look he was sporting before. When Jake is like this, he's harmless. Yet with everyone else, he's as cold and dangerous as the first time I'd seen him in the classroom. His thumb strokes my jaw and I sigh, completely content with the slightest bit of affection. Jake chuckles at my reaction, his stomach vibrating and I blush in embarrassment. Stop laughing at me, I mutter, my cheeks flaming up in embarrassment. My heart is beating wildly against my chest. You're adorable, I can't help it. He gives me a cute, lopsided smile. I feel my heart somersault and I open my mouth to reply. The words I really wanted to say are lodged deep inside my throat. When I'm around him, I feel butterflies, constantly. I push back away from his legs, building up the courage to let him know what's really on my mind. I walk around the room, stretching my legs as I examine it, my way of buying myself some time. Don't do that, Jake says suddenly, pushing himself off the bed and walking towards me. My eyebrows crease in confusion and I look back at him, frowning. "Don't do what?" I ask innocently, my back hitting against the wall. Jake's eyes land directly on my lips, causing my heart to stop for a moment. "Don't bite your lip like that." "Sorry, it's a thing I do when I'm nervous," I explain, chuckling lightly. Jake silently walks towards me, closing the space between us. His hand reaches up and combs back his dark hair, leaving me melting from the way his biceps tense. "What do you really want to ask me?" Jake whispers, placing a hand on the walls on either side of me. He leans down so his face hovers in front of mine, inches away. I'm knocked back by his sudden question and I simply blink at him in return. Nothing," I stutter, cursing myself silently. Whenever I'm around Jake, I lose the ability to act or talk like a normal human being. "You're still doing it," Jake mutters, his eyes flickering between mine and my lips. As he speaks, his warm breath fans my face and I swear, my legs actually buckle underneath me. "Don't stare at me and it won't bother you," I shot back, my confidence levels rising. "Don't be so beautiful and maybe I won't stare," he smirks, barely hesitating with his response. I let out a small squeak at his words and immediately regretted my decision. "Nice move, Emily." Jake's eyebrows shot up in amusement, blue eyes twinkling at me. I pull my lower lip into my mouth, biting down on it hard due to my nerves. "Stop, Emily." "No, Jake." Chapter 18. He glares at me and one glare back in response, daring him to break eye contact. The corners of his lips tug up and I know he's on the verge of laughing. In one swift move, Jake grabs hold of both my arms playfully, surprising me. The pain shooting through my body is instant and I hiss, feeling fire burn through my skin. My reaction is one I deeply regret. I instantly lift my knee up, hitting him hard between his legs. Jake groans loudly, dropping to the floor with his eyes squeezed shut tightly. "What the hell, Emily? There goes my chance of ever being able to have kids," Jake yells, his voice strained. I don't respond, the pain becoming unbearable to handle. It's shooting down my arms, making me lightheaded. Pain flashes through my face and I turn to face the wall, not wanting Jake to see my tear-stricken face. Jake gently turns me around, his eyes full of worry and confusion. Fresh tears sting my eyes and I blink, feeling them slide down my cheeks. "Stop, Jake," I whisper, my voice breaking apart as I speak. Jake takes no notice of my protests and silently tugs my sleeves upwards. I suck in a breath, feeling like I've been punched in the gut. Ugly bruises etched into my skin stare back at us. "Emily?" Jake questions, his eyes filling with confusion. I thought Jake would take one look at a broken me and he would walk away. Away from the pain and misery in my life. Instead he drops one of my wrists, using his hand to clutch my chin. He lifts it slowly so I'm staring into his eyes. He's searching me intently, blue eyes flickering between mine. "Let me help you," he pleads, his hand stroking my cheek gently. I've never heard those 4 words from anyone in my entire life. "Let me help you." I push Jake off gently and walk towards the door, locking it. My heart is beating so fast against my body, I can practically hear it booming through my ears. I inhale deeply, noticing Jake is watching me carefully, his eyes trained on my every move. "Please don't judge me," I whisper quietly, my shaky voice barely filling the small room. Jake nods silently, his face completely emotionless. I have to tell him, tell someone. It's making me go crazy, my sanity slipping away every second. I don't eat anymore in fear and I definitely don't sleep. I'm plagued by nightmares of Trevor every single night, each one of them more terrifying than the last. I squeeze my eyes shut and feel for the hem of my top. My fingers find the soft material and I clutch it tightly, pulling the fabric up to reveal the top half of my body. I feel cold air hit my bare skin and that's when I know there is no going back. My secret and I are exposed. I open my eyes, feeling the tears escape and slide down my cheek, fighting over one another. My hands are shaking uncontrollably and I let go, allowing it fall back down. Jake is stood opposite me, his eyes fixated on my body where my skin was exposed seconds ago. His eyes are completely emotionless, but his jaw clenches tightly in anger. His hands ball up into tight fists by his sides and he appears to be rooted to the spot, frozen. My stepdad does this to me, I whisper, feeling the need to explain myself. My secret is out. I look down at my body, knowing what lies underneath the clothes and recoil away from it in disgust. Black and blue bruises cover my whole stomach. Scars run up and down my legs and arms from years of abuse and my wrists are a mess from what I've done to them. I lift my head and search Jake's eyes for some sort of reaction, but he remains emotionless. Say something, Jake, I urge him, fear settling inside my stomach as I couldn't make out his reaction. He pauses for a moment, blue eves filling with a deep sadness. I think you're amazing, Emily. Come here, he finally whispers, his eyes flickering up to meet mine. He walks towards me, arms outstretched, and I exhale a deep sigh of relief. Do you think I'm ugly? I ask vulnerably, my voice shaking with fear as I fall into his embrace. His warmth wraps around me tightly and I close my eyes, feeling safe. Jake rubs my back soothingly, his face nuzzling inside the crook of my neck. I know he's trying to comfort me, but I feel butterflies fill my stomach from his loving actions. I think you're beautiful, he whispers, his arms closing around my body gently. Almost as if he's protecting me from the danger that lurks around me. Chapter 19. I blink several times, feeling like I'm sensitive to the entire world right now. I let out a low groan, the pounding in my head growing to be 10 times worse. Is this a hangover? I mutter rhetorically to myself, clutching the sides of my head. My eyes squint as they adjust to the brightness. I glance around, realizing I'm still at Ivory's house. Happy birthday to me, I sing bluntly, massaging my sore temples. My thoughts turn back to last night, the party. Austin and Jake. It's that exact moment that I realize what I've done. My mouth falls open with shock and snap it shut again. No way, what have I done? I murmur, my head falling into my hands. Holy Mother of Jesus. I told Jake my secret. I climb out of bed quickly, glancing down at my outfit from last night. It's crumpled up, clinging to my body unattractively. I pull at the material, grimacing from the way it feels against my skin. Does Ivory know I spent the night at hers? Did Jake bail on me last night? There's a soft knock on the door, snapping me out of my thoughts. I smooth down my clothes, tugging at my hair self-consciously. Come in, I say out loud, clearing my throat. The door opens and Ivory pops her head around. Her auburn hair is pulled back into a messy ponytail, dark bags underneath her eyes, hair. A sign of a good night. Hey Emily, Ivory said softly, entering the room and closing the door behind her. I give her a small smile, running a hand through my. Thanks for letting me crash here. I mumble, staring at the floor instead of making eye contact, don't worry about it. Ivory smiles. Good night? I ask, feeling my muscles relax. Ivory laughed quietly, reaching up to rub her temples. Amazing night. I'm paying for it today though, I feel like I've been dragged through a rosebush backwards. She groaned, taking a seat on the edge of the bed. Her eyes meet with mine, flashing briefly with sympathy. Jake mentioned you needed a place to crash, you're welcome here anytime. My stomach churns uneasily as I try to figure out whether Ivory knows my secret or not. I try and not think of Jake telling Ivory every last detail I told him. Thank you. I appreciate it, I respond tightly, disappointment washing over me. Follow me. Ivory grins, stepping off the bed and heading for the door. I inhale deeply before following her close behind. The smell of warm pancakes and chocolate wafts through the air and my stomach rumbles loudly. I guess it knows what it wants. Ivory giggles, glancing at me from the side. I grin back at her sheepishly, biting on my lower lip. I guess I'm hungry, I state obviously, causing Ivory to giggle further. We both headed down the stairs that were completely covered with rubbish and empty cups from the night before. Besides the aftermath of the party lying all over the floor, the house is very beautifully designed. Ivory pushes back the door of the kitchen and I follow her, glancing at the dining table that's covered with half-empty alcohol bottles. My stomach churns and I quickly avert my gaze so that I don't embarrass myself and throw up. I'm not ready to face alcohol just yet. My eyes land on Jake, who's stood by the cooker, spatula in hand. I raise my eyebrows in surprise and immediately feel a blush rise to my cheeks from the sight of him. He's flipping pancakes casually. Jake? I frown, feeling confused. Did he stay the night too? Ivory glances between me and Jake before grabbing an aspirin box off the counter and clutching her head. I can tell the girl has a serious hangover. I'll leave you two to it, Ivory says, saluting at me half-heartedly. I give her a small smile and she leaves the kitchen, shutting the door softly behind her. My attention diverts back to Jake and I stand watching him for a few seconds. He's still wearing last night's clothes, his dark hair ruffled messily across his head. I begin to feel extremely self-conscious standing there, so decide to start a conversation. Last night was interesting, I say quietly, mentally slapping myself for bringing it up. I've decided my brain turns into an unreliable pile of mush when Jake Melvin is around. Chapter 20. I guess so. Sit down, Emily. Jake says quietly, signaling at the table. He doesn't make eye contact with me and I nibble on my bottom lip, silently taking a seat at the table. I feel my hands begin to grow clammy with nerves, so I decide to try to make conversation again. You cook pancakes? I ask him, amusement lining my voice. This time he finally turns around, a sheepish grin on his face. He holds the spatula in the air, shrugging a little. You got me. Jake winks, a sparkle in his eye. A flutter grows inside my stomach and I smile, dropping my eyes to the floor. Can I have one? I'm starving, I admit, holding my stomach. Jake nods and plates two up before dropping them down in front of me. He holds up a bottle of syrup, the muscles in his arms tensing. I try not to stare, but it's so hard when he looks so good. You like syrup? Of course I like syrup. What kind of question is that? I tease him, rolling my eyes. Jake shakes his head, biting back a smile before squeezing the syrup all over the pancakes. I take the fork he's offering me and try a small bite, moaning with pleasure from finally eating. It doesn't help that Jake's pancakes are incredibly delicious. I can't remember the last time I had pancakes. When I'm on my third bite, I glance up at Jake, ready to applaud him on his pancake-making skills, but he's watching me, head tilted to the side. A smirk plays on his lips. You moan when you eat muffin? I choke on the piece of pancake in my mouth, dropping the fork onto the table. My eyes glare at Jake, who begins to splutter with laughter. The blue in his eyes sparkle, and despite being mad at him a second ago, I'm not anymore. I laugh alongside him before defending myself. You make amazing pancakes and I haven't eaten properly for days. This is like heaven to me. Jake's laughter dies down, the carefree expression on his face disappearing. He pushes the plate towards me silently and I stir in my seat uncomfortably. Eat as many as you want, he finally says, breaking the silence between us. He stands up and turns his back to me, running a hand through his wild hair. His shoulders are squared up, full of tension, and I know he's thinking about last night. Emily, can we talk about? I stop Jake short by shaking my head. No, not now. Let me enjoy some food before you grill me over last night. I explain to him, giving him a small smile. He returns the smile, nodding his head in agreement. I end up spilling every secret to Jake Melvin. Why was it that suddenly things become so real once you say them out loud? I've only known Jake for a few weeks, but I feel like we share an indescribable connection. Jake always listens to me patiently, but the thing I value the most about his friendship is that he never judges me for anything. I've always been terrified of anyone knowing my secret, but when I tell Jake, it's a relief. It feels good for someone else to know the stuff that happens behind my closed door. We're both in Ivory's living room. I'm on the couch with a blanket draped over me and Jake is laid on the other side, his head propped up on one of the cushions. Why did you decide to tell me? Jake asks me quietly, blue eyes staring straight at me. I can't take it anymore. There's a constant war inside my head. Do I tell people or do I not? If I do, Trevor will kill me, but if I don't, it never stops. All I want is for it to stop. I reply honestly, looking up at the ceiling to stop the tears from falling. I blink them back, not wanting to cry in front of him. Why didn't you tell me sooner? I didn't tell you because I haven't told anyone and I've only known you for a few weeks, Jake. I had to make sure I can trust you. I told him. He slowly nods his head, eyes flashing with surprise. You trust me? Chapter 21. I nod my head, realizing that I do. I really do trust him. Despite everyone around me warning me off Jake Melvin, I've learned that I can trust him. The endless conversations we've had, the way he makes me feel safe just from being in his presence. I really do trust you. There's something about you that I can't really pinpoint, but I know that I can trust you. I told him. He looks at me intensely for a while, his eyes fixed on mine. I've grown to learn that Jake has a kind soul. He may be involved in a world of violence, but there's an aura around him that I can't seem to pull myself away from. Since knowing him, we've grown closer, and thinking about it causes my lips to tug upwards into a smile. When I glance up at Jake from under my lashes, he's smiling back at me. I lean forward, lightly slapping his chest. Stupid oaf, I say to him, rolling my eyes. He grabs hold of my hand, raising one eyebrow at me with a smirk on his face. Oaf? Ouch, your insults wound me, Muffin. His words are a hushed whisper and he lightly pulls me forward. I feel goosebumps erupt over my skin, running up and down my arms as I grow closer to him. My eyes flicker between both of his and I can feel my breathing shallow out. Butterflies explode in my stomach as the tension between us grows until it almost becomes unbearable. I study every inch of face, unable to believe how beautiful he is. What do you want? He murmurs, blue eyes dropping from my eyes to roam over my lips. I feel him inhale sharply before his eyes flick back up again to meet mine. The intense look in them causes the butterflies in my stomach to go crazy. I'm not sure, I whisper in response, my body screaming at me to close the distance between us. If I inch closer, our lips would finally meet and I'll be kissing Jake Melvin. Let me help you decide. Jake murmurs, his breathing growing heavy. I slowly nod my head, watching as desire and a newly lit flame fills his eyes. He continues to pull me forward, his addicting scent wrapping around me. The door springs open and I quickly jump back from the sound, snapping me out of the trance I was in. Jake closes his eyes and sighs, reaching up to pinch the bridge of his nose. Ivory, what do you want? He groans, glaring at her. She stands in the doorway, looking more alive than she did previously this morning. Sorry, was I interrupting something? Are you guys making out on my couch? She smirks, glancing between Jake and I feel my cheeks burn with embarrassment, turning beetroot red. No, you're not interrupting. We're just talking, I say quickly, avoiding eye contact with Jake. She rolls her blue eyes at me, cutting me off by holding her hand up in the air. Yeah, I'm sure you were just talking. Stop hitting on my friend Jake. Ivory tells him off, one hand on her hip. I glance between them both, wondering how they know one another. I'm not hitting on her and technically, she was my friend first. Jake hits back at her, throwing a cushion in her direction. Ivory dodges it, throwing a glare in his direction. God, you're such an annoying cousin. You know that? You guys are family? I question them both, looking at Jake. He nods, rolling his eyes at a triumphant-looking Ivory. Yeah, this little dork is my cousin. Good looks clearly run in the family. That's cool, I didn't know. I smile at Ivory. She huffs dramatically, turning the TV on before turning back to me. It's not cool at all. Try living with him and my brother, it's a nightmare. I'm not annoying, I'm fun. Jake mutters in response, sounding hurt. I chuckle quietly and Jake decides to explain further. I live here with Mum, Ivory, her brother Tobias and their mum. She's my Auntie Myra. I nod, feeling a little overwhelmed as I tried to remember the information. You guys have an amazing house. I tell them both. Chapter 22. Thanks, you're welcome here anytime, Emily. It's not like we don't have the space. Ivory gestures at the open air. I smile at her in response and look down at my hands, biting my lip nervously. They're both being so nice to me and I'm not accustomed to that. Jake shuffles closer and leans down so that his lips meet my ear. Why are you nervous? Relax, he whispers, his voice sending a shiver to run down my spine. I glance up at him, noticing how thick and dark his eyelashes are. His eyes are beautiful and I don't realize I'm staring until Jake laughs. You could take a picture, it'll last longer and you can use it to keep you company at night. Jake smirks smoothly. I gasp, my mouth dropping open slightly. Ha, you wish. I'd end up with nightmares. I mutter playfully, earning a chuckle from Jake. What time is it? I ask out loud to no one in particular. Jake glances at his watch before answering, 11:30. My eyes widen and I immediately spring off the couch. Crap, I mutter, reaching for my jacket. I'm late, very late. What's wrong? Jake asks me, his expression confused. I mutter a brief explanation and turn towards Ivory in a hurry. Thank you both for letting me stay here. You're welcome, don't be a stranger. Ivory smiles, holding out her arms as she signals for a hug. I return her smile, leaning in and embracing her. I can't thank her and Jake enough for being so kind to me. I make my way towards the door, glancing down and sighing at my clothes. When I push down the handle to leave, Jake's hand slams the door shut again, stopping me from leaving. Where are you going? He questions me, frowning deeply. Home. I really have to leave, like now. I replied desperately, trying to open the door again. Jake shakes his head at me, his jaw tense with frustration. No, you can't. Jake, please. I need to go. I tell him firmly, feeling the panic inside me increase. Emily, you can't go back there. Let me look after you. Jake argues back, anger lining his voice. I feel the panic increase inside my chest and images of Trevor growing increasingly angrier by my lack of presence clouds my mind. You're not my hero, Jake. I yell at him, trying to make him see sense. Hurt flashes through his eyes and he lets go of the door before taking a step back. You're not my hero, Jake. I yell at him, trying to make him see sense. Hurt flashes through his eyes and he lets go of the door before taking a step back. Please understand, I need to get home. I plead with him, pulling the front door open. I silently wish Jake doesn't hate me for it. I walk out the front door, the fear inside of me growing until I feel nauseous. It's my birthday today, but Mum has clearly forgotten. No one else knows beside Trish. I pull my phone out of my pocket and glance at the screen. One message from Trish. Happy birthday, bestie. I'll see you in college soon. Love you, Zoxo. I stuff the phone back inside my pocket, making a mental note to reply to her later. My gaze lands on Jake, who's leaning against the doorway, watching me like a hawk. Please don't tell anybody my secret, I pleaded with him before turning around and hurrying down the driveway. I hear Jake follow me from behind and his warm hand slips in mine. The smooth feeling of paper falls into my palm and I feel him close my fingers around it. I turn around, curiosity written across my face as I look at him. I don't have time to question his action, so I wrap my hand around it tighter, not wanting to lose it. Before I can leave, Jake leans close to me, bending down slightly. I feel his lips press against my cheek tenderly and I freeze, stunned to the spot. The skin sparks up with electricity from his touch and his lips linger before he pulls away. I inhale sharply, my fingers tracing over the skin. I can still feel the pressure and contour of his lips. Happy birthday, Muffin. He turns around and walks back to the door, hands stuffed inside his pockets. My heart skips a beat from his words and begins thumping wildly against my chest. He knows it's my birthday. I want to run up and kiss him properly but decide against it. It was just a friendly birthday kiss, close friend to friend. I have to push any feelings for him aside, especially since my life is so crazy right now. Having feelings for Jake will make everything increasingly difficult, especially with Trevor in my life. Speaking of Trevor, I turn around and bolt down the street. I need to get home before it's too late. Chapter 23. I turn the key slowly in the front door, my heart pounding as I push it open. Silence comes from inside and I breathe out a sigh of relief before stepping inside. I don't dare slow down and risk Mum or Trevor spotting me in last night's clothes. I make a beeline for the stairs, taking them two at a time. Emily, is that you? Mum's voice fills the air and I ignore her, pushing through my bedroom door and locking it behind me. I hear her walking up the stairs, her voice lined with confusion. "Emily, what are you doing?" I quickly tear off my clothes, dropping them to the floor. "I'm in the shower. I'll be just a minute," I yell back at her, heading for my bathroom. I turn the shower on and step inside, grabbing my shampoo to get rid of last night's scent. 10 minutes later and I'm squeaky clean, smelling of sweet vanilla. I wrap a towel around my body and search through my wardrobe, picking out my white cashmere jumper and denim jeans. My hair is falling freely on my shoulders and I begin to tackle it with my hairdryer, my arms aching from the strain. The bruises on my body are slowly healing, slowly being the key word. I apply some concealer underneath my eyes, covering the dark bags. I chose a pale pink lip gloss and a nude eyeshadow, finishing off the look with some mascara. After I'm content with my appearance, I reach Jake's note on my dressing table. A smile immediately stretches across my face and I'm unable to ignore the excitement inside my stomach. "Meet me at 2 in the park." My eyes scan over the words 100 times, over-analyzing his scruffy writing. Is this a date? I nibble on my bottom lip, rereading the note over and over again before realizing meeting Jake at the park definitely doesn't sound like a date. I sigh unhappily, feeling disappointment settle inside my stomach. I'm going to admit it. I have a crush on Jake Melvin, the town's bad boy. His kiss lingers on my cheek and my fingers brush over the skin, wanting to remember the moment forever. I sigh knowing I'll have to put my feelings aside for Jake. It feels so surreal that he knows everything about Trevor. I have to admit it's good to finally expose the truth, but part of me feels vulnerable, scared of what Trevor will do if he knows I've confided in him. "It's too late to go back now," I murmur, resting my head in my hands. I've cleaned my room twice, completed all of my homework, brushed my hair again and reapplied my makeup, adding some liner and blush before finally painting my nails a bright red. I glance at the clock and groan, I have 20 more minutes to kill before I can try to sneak out and meet Jake. I haven't heard any noise from Trevor or Mum, so I'm wishing it'll be simple to leave. I grab my leather jacket and pull it on, deciding I can't wait any longer. I unlock my bedroom door and peek out, listening carefully. Silence. So far, so good. I close my door quietly and tiptoe down the stairs, avoiding the creaky step. I've learned over the years which steps creak and which are safe, so by now, I'm a professional. My heart begins to race as I see the living room door wide open, but there's no sight or sound of Trevor. I'm just about to open the front door when he appears out of nowhere. "Going somewhere?" His tone is icy and low. I turned slowly and smiled falsely at him, avoiding looking him in the eyes. "To the library to study for exams." He takes a step closer to me, the scent of smoke and alcohol immediately slapping me in the face. I grimace, unable to hide the disgust on my face. "You have no books, you liar." Trevor hisses at me. His eyes scan my body from head to toe and his lips turn up into a sick sneer. "That's why I'm going to the library." I attempt to persuade him, shrinking into myself. "Don't lie to me. How many times have I told you that?" He yells at me, his voice booming through the hallway and bouncing off the walls. I cower against the walls, my hands trembling by my sides. Chapter 24. I'm not lying to you, I swear. I shout at him, desperately trying to make him leave me alone. He stood in front of me, fists clenched violently. His face is turning a bright shade of red and he suddenly lunges forward, grabbing a fistful of my jumper. I scream, fear building up inside my body. I can't take another beating, not again. I still haven't healed fully from the last one and I don't know whether my body can handle it. I feel myself being dragged forward and I lose my balance, tripping over my own feet. "You're going out to sleep with someone. Look at you, all dressed up. You look cheap, it's disgusting." Trevor roars in my face, foaming at the mouth in a drunken rage. His free hand reaches into his pocket, pulling out a small object. My eyes instantly zone in on it and widen in fear as it finally dawns on me, he's holding a knife. He flicks it open, eyes twinkling with sick pleasure. "It's about time I got rid of you." The blade glistens in front of my eyes. I immediately silence, my body frozen in place. "Please don't do this," I plead, my throat closing over until it's hard to breathe. His hand grips onto me and shoves me against the wall forcefully. You can beg me all you like, I hated you from the minute I laid eyes on you. Trevor hisses, the blade growing closer to me. I scream out loud, my frightened yells bouncing off the walls and floating around us. I reach up, scratching at his hold so that I can escape. It only causes him to hold on tighter. The cool feeling of the blade pressing against my throat silences my screams for help and I whimper, tears streaming down my cheeks. Mum will never forgive you, I whisper, desperately searching his cold eyes for any sign of human sympathy. Cold black bottomless pits stare back at me and I blink, tearing my eyes off him. It's no use, he's a monster. Your mother hates you too. He hisses in my face, the blade pressing further into my skin. Any further force and I know it'll eventually pierce the tender skin. I suck in a sharp breath, squeezing my eyes shut tightly. Hot tears stream down my cheeks and I have no option but to continue begging for my life. A knock on the front door causes Trevor to freeze, growing silent. He clamps his hand over my mouth, muffling out the whimpers coming from me. Don't say a word or I'll kill you. I nod desperately, my eyes dropping down to the knife that's still pressed against my throat. Relief washes over me, silent tears streaming down my face as Trevor pushes me backwards into the living room, out of sight. He clears his throat and heads towards the front door. I stood up shakily, my vision blurred from my tears. My legs are shaking underneath my weight, threatening to give in any second. This is it, my chance to escape. I run up the stairs 2 at a time, locking myself in my room. I don't feel safe. I grab my phone off the side, the screen brightly lit up with a text from Jake. Where are you? I quickly reply, my fingers shaking in fear. Please help me, he's trying to kill me. I send the text quickly, my chest heaving with heavy sobs. My phone pings straight away and I read the text, my vision blurry due to the tears. I'm on my way, packing a bag of muffins. I do as Jake says, grabbing the biggest bag I own before throwing in clothes, shoes, makeup and my schoolwork. I place the photo of me and my dad on top of the pile before zipping it up. My hands are trembling and I sit on my bed, breathing deeply to calm myself down. It suddenly dawns on me that Jake doesn't know where I live. I reach for my phone again and ring him but he doesn't answer. No, I yell out in frustration, letting out a scream. Jake's POV. I instantly know something is wrong when she doesn't show up to the park. I'd written her that note because I knew she'd probably forget and I need to see her again. I didn't want her to leave this morning but it took everything I had to stand back and let her go knowing what happened inside that house. Chapter 25. My phone pings and I pull it out, glancing at the screen. My eyes scan the words and my grip on the phone tightens as I feel the anger curse through my body. The urge to break every bone in Trevor's worthless body grows stronger by the second. Fuck, I mumble, feeling powerless. I respond back to her, my fingers tapping away at the screen quickly. The image of her trapped with him trying to kill her flashes through my mind and I let out a yell in frustration. The anger continues to build inside of me until it's impossible to contain and I lash out, needing a release. Pain flares through my knuckles but it does little to help my anger. I scroll through my phone, jaw tense as I finally find what I'm looking for. I ring him, bouncing on the heels of my trainers impatiently as I wait for him to answer. What do you need? Emily Wentworth, full address. Within a few seconds he has it for me, word for word. It's only a 10-minute walk, 5 if I run. I end the call and pull my hood over my head. On the way images of her bruised and beaten body fills my thoughts which fuels me to run faster. She looked so vulnerable, years of abuse finally breaking her in pieces. I feel a sense of honor knowing I'm the first person she confided in. When she told me she trusts me, I was completely taken aback. Not many people trust me. I held her against me the entire night, unable to sleep or wink myself. She doesn't remember but knowing I was there to comfort her made it worth every second. Every time she stirred or mumbled in fear due to her nightmares, I held her closer. I know I'm becoming way too protective over this girl and if I'm completely honest, it terrifies me. I never like to admit fear either. Emily's POV. I hear a soft tapping noise coming from my window. I walk towards it and open it, peering down to find Jake stood at the bottom, panting. I stood there, staring down at how attractive he looked, unable to stop myself from admitting his beauty. Beads of sweat are glistening on his forehead and his hair is a complete mess, but for some reason, I like it. Emily, don't just stand there and stare. Get down here, he whispers, yells, shaking his head at my lack of cooperation. I snap out of it, my eyes widening as it dawns on me what is suggesting. You want me to jump out of this window? I gesture at the window and then cross my arms tightly over my chest, glaring at him. Do you want to kill me, Jake? I ask, my eyes narrowing at him. I notice his right hand bleeding and my eyes widen further. What happened to your hand? What happened to your face? He shot back, signaling at the cut on my head. I can't jump, it's too high, Jake. I swallow nervously, glancing down at the height. My stomach does a complete flip and I take a step. Muffin, it's the only way you can get out. You won't fall, I'll catch you. He reassures me, holding out his arms. I groan, knowing I couldn't stay here with Trevor any longer, the thought alone terrified me. I drop my bag out the window first, hearing the lake catch it with an umph. God, what have you got in here? He mutters up at me, his eyebrow raised slightly. Girl stuff, I responded, sitting on the window ledge and rotating myself. I grip onto the ledge tightly, shutting my eyes. That's it, you've got it. Jake encourages me. Dear God, if I fall to my death, please send me straight to heaven. Emily, what are you doing? Jake hisses, cutting me off. Saying a prayer in case I die. It's not that far, you're tall anyway, use your legs for good use. I scoff and lower myself down, my knuckles turning white from the strain of having to grip onto the ledge. I close my eyes and count down from 3 before letting go and bending my knees slightly. For a brief second, I'm flying. I feel myself fall into his arms and then he wraps them around me tightly. I look up at his smirking face. The end. And that's a wrap on today's reading here at Booked for Drama. If you felt anything, rage, swoon, second-hand heartbreak, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your fellow drama lovers. If you have any requests, drop them in the comments. Until next time, keep reading, and keep the drama on the page.